All participants, kindly stop your video. हॅलो, ते सेकंड मेल पाठवलं ना मी यूट्यूब चॅनलचा. पहिला वाला डिलीट कर, दुसरा वाला तो मेल पाठवून द्या लगेच सगळ्यांना. हां एक
मावळे सर,
हां सर.
डॉक्टर ओलेग आलेत का? एकदा चेक करता का?
डॉक्टर
ओलेग स्पीकर आजचे.
all participants are requested to stop your video please. So to get a better bandwidth, better voice quality, kindly cooperate with us. Please stop your video.
मावळे सर. हॅलो मावळे सर. मावळे सर.
येस सर.
हा डॉक्टर ओलेग आलेत, त्यांना हे करता का?
ओके 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 ओके.
वेटिंग मध्ये बरेच लोक आहेत वाटतं. ते ओले सरांचा स्क्रीन शेअर नाही झाला अजून. ते जॉईन झालेत की, दिसतात ते स्क्रीनवर. चेक करते आणि वेटिंग रूम पण क्लिअर. त्यांचं एकदा सुरू झालं की वेटिंग रूम क्लिअर कर.
डॉक्टर ओलेग सर. डॉक्टर ओलेग सर.
माईक चेक करायला सांगा भालके सर.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? This is Oleg.
Yes sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think you are now co-host. You can share your screen.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, we can start.
Excellent. So then let me show my video. Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Tadkar sir, you stop sharing your screen. So Oleg will share his screen.
Okay. Then let me share my screen and we can get started.
Mawade sir, can you admit all participants?
Yes, sir. I
Yes,
have admitted.
I'm working on that. I'm admitting.
Okay. Otherwise, we will stop. Directly, we will give entry to them.
ओलेग सरांचा माईक चालू करा रे, त्यांचा अनम्यूट झाला.
He is co-host now. He can start or he can off his mic.
Okay, so can you see my screen now?
Yeah,
Yes.
sir. It is visible.
Okay, excellent. Then good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and pleasure to start this session,
So,
which
sir,
will take
first
1 hour 30
Sir.
minutes.
Yeah.
And the topic we will discuss today will be TRIZ and Avenue to Consultancy.
Dr. Oleg,
My
we will just have introduction, then you can start the session.
Okay.
Sir, Bormani sir, shall I start?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Respected principal of AISSMS COE, Dr. D.S. Bormane, today's speaker, Dr. Oleg Higginson, and my dear participants. A warm welcome to you all for third day, first session of 1 week online faculty development program on promoting quality culture in technical institution. Today we have a great researcher and a global personality, Dr. Oleg Higginson. He is a TRIZ master, principal engineer at Samsung Electronics, South Korea. He is also currently working as a president of TRIZ, which is an international association of TRIZ. Dr. Oleg holds a PhD degree in plasma technology and MS degree in electrotechnology from St. Petersburg State Polytechnic University, Russia. He is a certified TRIZ master by the International TRIZ Association, TRIZ. He was elected as the president of International TRIZ Association in September 2019. Dr. Oleg is a principal engineer at Manufacturing Core Technology Team, Global Technology Center of Samsung Electronics, South Korea. Prior to Samsung Electronics, Dr. Oleg worked for the world's largest TRIZ consulting company, Gen 3 Partner. As a senior principal and chief researcher at Gen 3 Partner, he managed dozens of successful innovation projects for world-class companies such as General Electric, Doosan, Infracore, Unilever, and so many other companies. Prior to Gen 3, he was an assistant professor with the Department of Electrotechnic and Electrotechnology at St. Petersburg State University, Russia. He was also a plasma physicist at Archimedes Technology Group, San Diego, USA. Dr. Oleg is the author of several US and WO patent and over more than 20 published articles in reputed journals. His areas of expertise are TRIZ, project management, open innovation, disruptive innovation, value engineering, systematic innovation, product development, process improvement. We are very fortunate to have Sir Dr. Oleg, a global leader and a charming personality with us. I heartily welcome you, sir, for this faculty development program. We have around 1,000 plus participants across India. Some of the participants are from the USA, Argentina, Malaysia, Iraq, etc. Today also, we have a special attendee, Dr. P.V. Narayan, TRIZ Level 3 Practitioner certified by TRIZ. He is a director of TRIZ deployment of TRIZ in India. He is an advisory board member of International Business TRIZ Association, President TRIZ Association of India. I also welcome you, sir. So now, without wasting time, all are awaiting for your excited session, and I request Dr. Oleg to take over the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the introduction, sir. As I have said, it is my honor and pleasure to present to such a great number of participants. And the topic of our session today is TRIZ and Avenue to Consultancy. As you can guess, we will talk mostly about applying TRIZ for consultancy. But first of all, of course, I will explain what TRIZ is, how TRIZ works, and you will see a number of case studies in my presentation. And at the end, we will have some time for questions and answers. Okay? Okay, so yeah, you have done a great introduction. Just few things why I can talk about consultancy, who I am actually. So I'm kind of an animal with two hats. One hat belongs to Samsung Electronics. I do not really look like Korean, but I spent in Korea quite a lot of time, and I'm still in Korea, work for Samsung Electronics Global Technology Center. And here at Samsung, at Global Technology Center, we provide internal consulting for Samsung business units. That is why I know a lot about internal consulting. Before that, I did a lot of consultants for outside customer. That's what was mentioned with Gen 3 partners. And another type of my activity, it is with TRIZ, which stands for International TRIZ Association. Yeah, since 2019, I am the president of this association. And since 2013, I served a different capacity for TRIZ. I used to be a vice president for information. I used to be an academic secretary for TRIZ Master Certification Council. So I'm pretty much familiar with this organization since 2013. This is the outline of our presentation today. As I promised, we will start with definition of TRIZ. We will try to understand how TRIZ works, and then we will see how TRIZ is applied nowadays in big companies around the world. Of course, we will discuss types of TRIZ projects. We will see a number of case studies. Then there will be a chapter which was kindly prepared by my friends and colleagues from TRIZ Association of Asia, where we will talk about TRIZ and TRIZ Association of Asia. Then conclusions and question is Genrikh Altshuler, who is the founder of TRIZ. TRIZ is a Russian abbreviation which stands for Theory of Inventive Problem Solving. Basically, it is a Russian word, and since you know that is why it was decided to keep Russian acronym TRIZ, and it is used all around the world. On this slide, you can see the very brief history of TRIZ. This gentleman, Genrikh Altshuler, and his friend Shapiro started first research in 1946. 10 years later, they published the first article in Russian, and then 1988 in the Soviet Union, TRIZ Association was established, and Mr. Altshuler was the first president of this association. And 1997, TRIZ moved from Russia, and the International TRIZ Association was established. What is the main idea behind TRIZ? Okay, I'm not going to read all these slides because the presentation will be available. You can use it after our session. Just in my own words, Genrikh Altshuler asked a question: why can we teach mathematics? Why can't we teach physics? Why can't we teach creativity? And his strong belief was that we can actually teach creativity, but we do not have, books. We do not have databases. Where can we get hints to teach creativity? And the smart idea of Genrikh Altshuler was that we need to investigate patent collection, because in patents, in the very structured way, people describe their inventions. And also, if you read a patent carefully, you can distill some principles which were used for create this or that invention. And basically, this is how Altshuler started his research. He personally investigated more than 15,000 patents, and then his students joined him, and a lot of patents have been analyzed to the moment. So he was extracting some hints, some techniques from patents. Then another interesting postulate from Genrich Altschuler is that technical systems evolve according to some special trends. And if we know these trends, we can develop our system in the most natural technical way. If you start Googling TRIZ, if you open Google and put TRIZ, the first thing you will discover that TRIZ is an innovation methodology. Okay, great. TRIZ is good for innovation, but my question is, do we really need any methodology for innovation? Why cannot we innovate without TRIZ, without design thinking, without other techniques? Simple. If we talk about a real project, let's say consultant projects, I'm a consultant. I want to perform a good innovation project for my client. I have the following challenges. I always have limited resources, not enough money to hire good experts. I have not enough time. I have not enough people in my team, lack of knowledge. And also we live and work in very aggressive competitive environment, which means not only I, who is trying to solve this specific problem to my client, there are other competitors, and that is why it is not easy. Of course, we have a higher risk of implementing new ideas. And this picture on this slide, I think is a good illustration of the modern employee. I have to handle multiple tasks at the same time. Probably you know these statistics, but it is really impressive, and I would like to spend a minute talking about that. So in any project, we start from as many as 3,000 raw ideas, unwritten ideas, those ideas which we discuss with our colleagues during coffee breaks, during our meetings. And since we evolve, the number of ideas that are submitted is reduced in 10 times. Then out of these 300 ideas which we submitted, only 125 small projects begin. And out of all these stages, only one project can lead to success. So as you can see, this is really ridiculous statistics. It is not acceptable in any area of our life. Can you imagine I go to Seoul airport and I want to take a flight to India. I see 3,000 flights scheduled and only one takes off. I can't imagine the situation. But when we talk about innovation, people say, well, that's our life. We know all challenges associated with innovations and we can do nothing. We only can stay with these statistics. Why is that? Because generating ideas is easy, but generating the right ideas, that's require effort. Let us imagine the value of innovation process. That's how it looks like. We generate a number of ideas, all those 3,000 ideas we saw on the previous slides. And only one of those ideas is the good one, is the idea we need. The ideal value would look like this. We have only one idea, and this is the idea. This is what we need. And in accordance with my experience, with the experience of my colleagues, TRIZ can really help us to approach this ideal value. Why? Because basically TRIZ, as in any science, deals with model of the problems, model of the solutions. For example, we have a specific problem. I need to create a new system. And TRIZ offers me a number of different models, the way I can model this problem. Then with TRIZ tools, I can convert it to the model of solution and then turn to the specific solution. Just to give you an analogy with mathematics, let's say in this building where I am sitting now, there are 20 rooms and there are 10 people in each room. And my specific problem is, what is the exact number of people in this building? So what can I do? I can go from one room to another and just count people one by one. But I can create the model of my problem. I have 20 rooms. I have 10 people in each room, 20 multiplied by 10. And then I have a model of my solution, 200. And I use mathematical tools, multiplication chart. Perfect, I have a model of solution, 200, but I don't know 200 of whom? Dogs, apple, people, and then I convert it to my specific solution. I know that my problem was about people, so my specific solution is 200 people. It is a very brief, very simplified introduction of how TRIZ works. And I believe with case studies that you will see in a couple of minutes, it will become more clear how we apply modeling with TRIZ. And this is very important quotation from Henry Altschuler. TRIZ is not a tool for TRIZ is a tool for thinking, not instead of thinking. TRIZ doesn't substitute your education. That is why I want to make this statement. It is very important to introduce TRIZ to college students, to university students, because they are in this edge when they capture knowledge very quickly. And TRIZ can really enhance the ability of students to apply this knowledge, because TRIZ is about practical usage of your knowledge. All right, since we have a systematic approach, we have a roadmap. And I am not going to explain every single box, but the important point is we have 3 stages which are clearly separated. We have problem identification stage or analytical stage, because as consultants, very often when we hear our customers, we either do not understand what our customer wants, or our customer doesn't understand what he or she wants. So we need to really identify the problem. We need to apply all TRIZ analytical tools. And then at the end of this stage, we will have a set of key problems, those problems that are really critical for successful project execution. With problem-solving tools, we develop conceptual solutions for these problems. And at the last stage, we apply our engineering skills, we apply scientific database to substantiate our concepts. Okay, so let me jump to the next topic, which is about TRIZ and world-leading companies. In this slide, you see the list of companies around the world which already use TRIZ. Not a big surprise that major Korean company, including Samsung, LG, and POSCO, and Hyundai, they all are here, because in Korea, TRIZ became like a #1 innovative methodology since 1997. Okay, but if you ask me why these companies use TRIZ, what is the value of TRIZ? And I prepare a couple of quotations from TRIZ leaders of different companies. For instance, Dr. Roberta Dunca, who used to teach TRIZ and Siemens, and not only use, but also perform a lot of TRIZ projects, he postulated at one of TRIZ conferences that TRIZ is adopted at Siemens and it helps to decrease implementation risks. So very practical implementation of TRIZ, reducing implementation risks. Another TRIZ leader from another big company, Intel, also in one of TRIZ conferences said that TRIZ is Intel innovation platform for the 21st century. Even more ambitious, innovation platform. And very often people think that TRIZ only works for high-tech companies like Samsung, like Intel, like Siemens. Actually, no. And you will see a couple of examples in this presentation. TRIZ is also used for other industries. And That was my personal experience with Gen3 partners when we worked with Wrigley. You know that Wrigley is the largest chewing gum company in the world. Basically, we started with the research center in Chicago, United States, with first trials with some TRIZ projects, and later in 2012, 2013, we initiated TRIZ training program in Asia, in China, and we performed a number of projects for cost reduction and process improvement. Two other important applications of TRIZ. Since I work for Samsung, of course, I would like to share some experience of my company, how we use TRIZ. And let me start with this article, which was published 7 years ago by Forbes. And actually, the article says about two aspects. One aspect was that Samsung hired a lot of Russian engineers from former Soviet Union, and they joined Samsung research lab, and that was a success of Samsung. And they explicitly mentioned that TRIZ was used in Samsung since the very beginning of 2000s. Well, I can tell you nowadays, I think there are more Indian people in Samsung than Russian people. So if you go to Samsung main building, which is shown on this picture, you will meet a lot of Indian people from different cities of India. So on this picture, you can see our main research center in Suwon, and it is called Samsung Digital City. Here we have more than 35,000 employees. We have those 4 towers, and there are more than 100 smaller buildings. And one of these buildings is Value Innovation Program Center. This is the house of TRIZ at Samsung Electronics. So I work in this Value Innovation Program Center, and some other foreign TRIZ experts and my Korean colleagues. What we do with TRIZ, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we provide internal consulting for Samsung business units. And in this flowchart, you can see that the majority of our projects are performed for finished products, because Samsung Electronics produces semiconductor, smartphones, tablets, TV sets, so all final products which we can buy in the stores. Other part of the projects goes to devices, and because Value Innovation Program Center is a part of Global Research Center, we have a number of projects for a research center. So we look for new technologies, we look for some novel products, and so on. When we are talking about finished products, then the majority of our projects go to mobile devices. And then TV set and home appliances, both about 22%, and some other applications, some other products of Samsung. And goals of the projects can be seen from this chart. Yeah, the majority of projects goes for securing core technologies, create IP strategies, create new patents, and so on. A lot of projects are devoted to quality improvement, of course, and still significant part goes to cost reduction. All this data is taken from the presentation of my Korean colleague, TRIZ master, Mr. Jun Young Lee. He showed that officially 7 years ago, but the statistics is almost the same, but this data are at least non-confidential. They are public. They already published. Yeah, this is how our VIP center looks like, our TRIZ team. On this picture, we are hosting delegation from China. So those are professors from Chinese universities. they were looking for the way to do consulting, because they're from academia. That was their intention to learn from engineers how trees can be applied in real projects. So 5 years ago, they visited us in Value Innovation Program Center. Okay, so let me jump to types of projects and case studies. I believe this is the most interesting part, because if you want to learn any discipline, it is always a good idea to see how it works for real projects. Once again, since the very beginning, I keep repeating that those projects are consulting projects, and 2 case studies in these presentations are taken from my Gen 3 experience. 1 case study is taken from my recent experience with Samsung. First of all, what types of project we can perform? So initially, TRIZ was used for product and process improvement. So we have a product, we want to improve it, we have a specific roadmap for that, and we can do that with TRIZ. But in recent time, more often we use TRIZ for NPD, new product development. Cost reduction, as you could see at previous slides on my diagrams, also very important type of project. And failure anticipation, this is very interesting format. When you have a system, you want to improve its reliability, and you are analyzing failure as an inventive problem. You are trying to create failure in your system, and then you apply TRIZ to prevent this failure. So that's very interesting approach. Those of you who are interested, maybe we will have an opportunity to discuss that later. Very often TRIZ is used for IP strategy development, and most often we use TRIZ for patent circumvention. That is a very interesting type of project. Let's say your competitor has a patent, so you are not allowed to produce the product you want to produce. And with TRIZ, we can technically substitute the patent. Substitute means we can create another invention which is not under the infringement of this patent. So we have a freedom to operate. Often TRIZ is used for technology forecasting. We use it for technology road mapping and landscaping, and also for identifying adjacent markets. Case studies. Let me start with one which I believe is very important nowadays because of coronavirus. The project is about washing hands. That was long ago, more than 10 years ago. One of the biggest companies in the world which produces hand soap and sanitizers and wet tissues, they asked us, Gen 3, to develop a new revolutionary new product to the market. So you imagine that the soap is a commodity product. You go to the store, you see a lot of different soaps. And the way you choose the soap, maybe fragrance, maybe color, maybe ability to create foam, but functionally, all soap is equal. And that is our approach. Of course, voice of the customer is very important, but we do not need TRIZ here. That could be design thinking, that could be jobs to be done by Clay Christensen or Tony Ulvik. And that gives us field of emotional needs, voice of the customer. With TRIZ, we can reveal voice of the product, because remember, as I told you, TRIZ is about objective trends of product evolution. So with TRIZ, we can predict, we can forecast how our product should evolve. And this gives us field of latent parameters for product improvement. And then in this intersection, we have product opportunities. Without going deep into details, let me show you how it works. On this graph, you see the most important analytical tool of the modern TRIZ, function analysis. here we include components with which our soap is interacting. So we have skin on our hand, we have sebum. Let me define what sebum is. Basically, sebum is the oily substance which always sits on the top of our skin. And that was interesting to learn with the function modeling, that actually skin doesn't hold dirt. Skin holds sebum, and then sebum holds dirt. And then sebum holds harmful bacteria. And also sebum holds useful bacteria or useful flora. With red lines here on the graph, you see harmful functions, those which we do not want, those that we want to eliminate. With blue lines, you see useful functions, something which we need, something which we expect from our product and its interactions with our skin and our other components. So with dashed lines, we show useful functions which are performed insufficiently. We want to improve those functions. And with this thin line, we show those useful functions which are performed excessively. We also want to improve those functions. So with this model, what our learnings are? First of all, we understood that soap and surfactant is the main component of soap which makes of cleansing action. It binds sebum. And this action is excessive. It binds all sebum, it removes all sebum from our hands. And also, it has a harmful function. It binds lipids. Those are, oily substance which sits in the top layer of our skin. Basically, because of those two phenomena, people use body lotion after cleansing their skin, their hands. So soap is good, but it removes too much sebum, it removes too much lipid. We also learned that basically soap doesn't remove dirt, it removes sebum, which holds dirt. We also understood that there is no selectivity of antibacterial action of the soap. It kills harmful bacteria, and this is the useful function, but it is insufficient. That is why very often people, after using the soap, also use hand sanitizer. But the soap also have a harmful function. It kills our native microflora, which is not good. Okay, so interesting learning. What should we do? This is another tool of TRIZ, which is called S-curve analysis. We should understand if we have room for our product improvement by this or that parameter. So if you think about intensity of sebum removal, all current soap, doesn't matter, natural soap or synthetic soap, removes almost 100% of all sebum from our skin. So in terms of cleansing efficiency, there is no need to improve the soap. What should we do? We should jump to the next S-curve by the parameter which is not developed today. And the idea which we proposed to the client was, let us teach our soap how to remove sebum, not completely, but in a controllable way. Why should we remove all sebum? We need to remove only top layer, which holds dirt. And in this way, our skin will not be damaged. It will keep moisturized. And that could be a nice new product for the market. In terms of antibacterial action, the picture is pretty much the same. All soap by itself kills more than 99% of bacteria. If you use antibacterial soap, it can kill even more. With alcohol sanitizer, you can kill 99.9% of bacteria. And with professional hand sanitizer, which doctors use in hospitals, you can kill almost everything. So there is no need to develop a soap which can kill microflora more efficiently. However, that would be nice to create a product which can controllably kill microflora. It would be nice to preserve our native microflora and get rid of harmful one only. Okay, that's, in my opinion, that's a very interesting finding based on voice of the product. We didn't use voice of the customer. That's what we revealed with TRIZ. Let me show you another fragment of function model. So if you think about our hands, we have another very important component, which is our nails. And this situation is kind of typical for people who work in factories, in gardens, that we have some amount of dirt under the nail. And the existing soap doesn't address this problem at all. Wouldn't it be nice to have a soap which can remove dirt from under the nail? Okay, so that's some of the findings from this project. So we decided that based on the voice of the product, we should improve the new generation of soap based on those three parameters: controllability of sebum removal, selectivity of antibacterial action, and dirt removal from under the nails. And with this set of MPVs, I'll explain what MPVs means. New to market products can be developed. And basically that's what we were able to deliver to our client, new products. MPV, okay, I put this abbreviation, but I have not explained what that means. MPV stands for main parameter of value. In the modern TRIZ methodology, we use MPV to define innovation. Basically, innovation is significant movement across main parameter of value. And main parameter of value is the parameter for which your customer or your client is ready to pay for. Like with this soap, nobody wants to pay and nobody wants to develop soap which kills bacteria more aggressively. It is already good. But if I develop another MPV, selectivity of antibacterial action, that is a new one. That is probably for what our customer is ready to pay for. Let me switch to another project. This is about current product improvement. Again, I do not like to read slides. I'll explain you what is happening. If you use your phone, it was especially critical 4 or 5 years ago. If you use your Android phone with such applications like Skype or WhatsApp, it gets really, really hot in 20-25 minutes. And consumers complain that it is very uncomfortable to hold the phone near the face. Well, it was not dangerous for the phone. The temperature was around 40-42 degrees C, but that was a very unpleasant feeling to the customer. And that is why we ran this project. It took us almost half a year. And the goal of this project was to develop some practical solution which can avoid overheating of the phone, which when it is used with such applications as Skype and WhatsApp. Again, I will skip all these, analytical, complicated procedures. I will show you what was the idea, one of the ideas. What is important that many companies around the world, in Japan, in China, in Korea, trying to solve the same problem. For instance, Sony introduced heat pipes in their Xperia phones. Some companies use special materials for heat dissipation. And our idea was not far away from, heat dissipating, because if you look on the main source of heat in the phone, this is application processor, which creates all the heat. And this application processor is really teeny tiny piece of the phone. It's like 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters only. Moreover, inside of this application processor, we have CPU, which is central processing unit, and GPU, graphical processing unit. And CPU creates a lot of heat. This CPU sits inside application processor, and it is kind of a hot spot. It creates a lot of heat. And of course, the first idea was, let us dissipate this heat. Let us apply the metal layer on the top of the chip. And this metal layer is much better for heat dissipation than silicon itself. Why not? Good idea. But we immediately faced secondary problems. We cannot apply thermal deposition methods, for example, plasma spraying, because if we overheat the chip, all soldering parts inside the chip will be melted. We will damage the chip. There are low temperature deposition methods, for example, chemical vapor deposition, but all these methods require vacuum, they require very expensive equipment, and they are characterized with low productivity and high cost. So, okay, we have two problems, and with TRIZ, we have different ways to problem these problems. Remember, I showed you the graph with, specific problem model of solution, and then specific solution. So theoretically, we can apply any of those techniques. We can formulate technical or engineering contradiction. We can formulate physical contradiction. We can apply standard inventive solution, or we may use the modern tool of TRIZ, which is function-oriented search. And I will show you how we can use function-oriented search for solving this problem. So the idea is clear. Somehow, not idea, the problem, I'm sorry. The problem is clear. Somehow we need to deposit a layer of metal without damaging the chip. This is the definition of function-oriented search. By definition, it is a problem-solving tool which allows us to identify technologies in other fields of science and engineering. And to be honest, this is my favorite TRIZ tool. I will explain why. Imagine I have such a problem. I need to find a way to deposit, metal layer on the silicon surface. Well, I have my PhD in plasma technology. I can think about some, novel, innovative methods of deposition, metallic layers. But as soon as I go to my boss and I show him my idea, the first question I will get will be like this: how do you know if it works? What should I say? I only say that, well, we need to try because this is something which I have just invented. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Let us run tests. And obviously, my boss is not happy with this proposal because for the test, we need time, we need money, we need people, and most likely he will tell me, go and think more. With function-oriented search, the situation is quite different, because with function-oriented search, you bring a technology which already works in some other industry, in some other area. Naturally, it is easy to accept the technology which already works somewhere. That is why very often I apply function-oriented search to develop my ideas during my consulting projects. That was exactly the case in this specific project. So what you see on this picture, it is so-called cold spray. So the idea is very simple. You introduce the powder of material and the supersonic, on the very fast jet of gas, which is accelerated with the supersonic nozzle. So you have the powder feeder, powder goes to the jet, and this gas jet is cold. Even we have some gas heater, but we are not talking about really high temperature. We preheat gas a little bit to remove moisture from the gas, and that's it. It's 100, 200 degrees C max. it cannot damage the chip. And here we have a substrate, which is in our case, silicon surface. And because those particles are accelerated to the huge velocity, when they touch the surface, they melt. The kinetic energy transforms to heat energy, and they melt, they heat the surface locally in the small area, which doesn't lead to overheating of the entire chip. So that was function-oriented storage, because this technology was not known in semiconductor industry, but it was used for repairing metal parts and heavy machinery. And I was lucky because I can read Russian, and this technology was developed in the middle of the last century in the Soviet Union. So with what function-oriented search, I found it reading Russian literature, and I brought it to semiconductor industry. So that was not the end of the story. We did a number of experiments, and we filed a patent for the cold spray application for semiconductors. So here you see the chip, then it is covered with silicone, and sometimes there is also epoxy on the top. And this is the cold spray. Okay, the last case study I would like to share with you. Yeah, as I said, TRIZ works not only for high tech, it also works for simple and products that are around us. Can you imagine that we have a consulting project for banana company, Chiquita Banana, and we use TRIZ. We actually build a function model of banana ripening. We build a function model of process of the banana harvesting, and all the same approach was applied in this project. So why Chiquita asked Gen 3 partners to handle this project? If you think about bananas, it is a really commodity product. In the United States, there are 3 major suppliers of bananas: Chiquita, Dole, and Del Monte. And the only way to compete for those 3 companies is to reduce prices. Let's say Walmart will buy bananas from those companies which offers lower prices. That's it. And in this project, we were asked to counter this commodity nature of bananas, to develop new innovative products based on bananas. There were a number of ideas. And one idea was, let us synchronize the ripening rate of banana with consumption. What that means? Imagine you buy the cluster of bananas, 5, 6 bananas. You put them on your table, or some people store bananas in the refrigerator, which is not recommended, by the way. So in 2 days, they will be more yellow, and they will continuously go more ripe. And at the end, you will see a lot of brown dots on the skin of bananas. And at the end, the bananas will turn completely brown. Well, it will be sweet, it will be nice, but not very pleasant. So, and the idea was, let us slow down the process of ripening bananas. Of course, there are big constraints in this project. We are not allowed to apply genetic modification. We are not allowed to apply preservation technologies, because banana is associated with healthy fruit. So people do not want to hear about preservatives or genetic modification. Okay. So the idea which came after this, long analysis process and problem solving was very simple at the end. Banana is a live product. It is breeding. Even if you take it from the palm, it is still breeding. And if we slow down the breeding rate, then the enzymatic reaction, which turns banana in the state when it is overripe, will be slowed down. And the second stage, we develop proof of principle. The first idea was how to keep the right amount of oxygen inside the package. As you know, we have 21% of oxygen in the air, which is too much for banana. If we reduce amount of oxygen up to 5%, then banana will breathe slowly and the ripening process will be slowed down as well. All right, wonderful. So we need to develop a technology which allows us to cut bananas into individual, because usually Chiquita, not only Chiquita, all bananas companies sell bananas in clusters, as shown here in this picture. We face the problem how to cut bananas automatically in a single pieces. And then what is the best way to pack bananas? Because banana is a very delicate, you cannot really touch or press bananas. So, and finally we found the way. At the end, that was a product by Chiquita, which is called Fresh and Ready. In this package, you have 3 bananas packed and you have a gas permeability of this membrane, which allows bananas to keep low oxygen atmospheres inside this package. Banana itself creates the right atmosphere inside this package. Yeah, that is what I have mentioned. We also developed this cutting machine, which allows us to cut bananas into individual, in the single bananas, and we also developed packaging technology. And the end, Chiquita developed not only this Fresh and Ready, but also so-called banana single. They also call it banana to go, if I remember well. Why it was an innovative product, what it gives to Chiquita, why this project was successful. Basically, it opens new distribution channels. Now, when you can store bananas not for 2 days, but in this package, you can store bananas up to 10 days and banana will be fresh, yellow, no brown spots, nothing. So now fast food restaurants can sell those bananas. Because in the past, imagine you buy the box of bananas, you sell half of the box, and half of the box you are wasting because bananas do not look good after a couple of days. With this package, it is possible to sell bananas in fast food restaurants. All right, so let me spend 5-7 minutes introducing International TRIZ Association and TRIZ Association of Asia. Then I really want to save some time for your questions. All right, International TRIZ Association. This is our website, main website, matriz.org. By the way, matriz is also a Russian acronym. You see, this is in Russian, so I can tell it for you in Russian. Международная ассоциация TRIZ, the International TRIZ Association. And we have a number of other sites in Russian, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, French, and Polish. The main mission of Matriz is to guide development and coordinate TRIZ movement all around the world. The main body of Matriz is Presidium, which consists of 9 members from different countries, from the United States, from Russia, from South Korea, from Germany, from Poland, and many other people help Matriz to develop, to proliferate TRIZ around the world. For instance, we have 2 directors in India, PV Narayan and Tita Kishan. They both have the position of Matriz directors for TRIZ promotion. Yeah, and I am the president of Matriz, and my role is to coordinate activity of Matriz. I appointed vice president, all directors, and chairman of different councils of Matriz. Matriz has its own certification system, 5 levels. The highest level is TRIZ Master, and TRIZ Master is really like a PhD. So in order to obtain this title, you should prepare some new contribution, some new development and defended in, in the committee of TRIZ masters. So I had experience with both PhD defense and TRIZ master defense. I can tell you honestly, TRIZ master defense was much more difficult. We also have TRIZ for beginners. This is the course which you can take for 24 hours and you will get the certificate based on the results of the test. Level 2, it is an advanced level. You have 40 hours of training in addition to the previous one. And TRIZ advanced, TRIZ, professional user, it is 80 hours of training, which means if you finish that, you know all tools of TRIZ. And level 4 is TRIZ specialist who is able to use TRIZ for real projects. So in order to obtain level 4, you should demonstrate that you use TRIZ in real practical projects. Doesn't matter for consultants, for your work activity. Why I show you this certification matrix? Because major companies in the world, including Samsung, General Electric, Siemens, Intel, and nowadays Chinese company also join this system, including Viva and Huawei. They all follow this certification system. For example, when I sent my resume to Samsung, the big plus was that I have a TRIZ master title. They said, okay, we need TRIZ master. So not only companies. Nowadays, at least in Korea, some universities apply the same certification system. At least 2 universities, Korean Polytechnic University and Hanyang University. And I think it is a really smart idea, because if you teach TRIZ in university, if you certify people at different level of matriz, when they are graduated from your university, they are ready to get a job in big companies like listed in this slide. This certification system exists for more than 10 years. And to the moment, we have almost 20,000 of level 1. We have 7,000+ level 2. We have more than 1,500 level 3, 129 level 4, and 108 TRIZ masters. So with level 4, people in China, people in Germany are very active now. So we expect more people very soon. And every year we have 1-2 new TRIZ masters. The next topic is prepared by my colleagues and good friends from TRIZ Association of Asia. And I will go very briefly through these slides. Once again, you will have access to this presentation, and later you may read these slides. About TRIZ Association of Asia, actually it is our matriz regional representative, one of 2 matriz representatives in India. They do a lot of things in India. They have a very strong team which consists of 8 professionals. They have PhD people, they have people graduated by Indian Institute of Technology, they have level 3 TRIZ practitioners, and then they even have TRIZ masters in the team. They have an access to TRIZ Global Knowledge Network, which is very, very good for function-oriented search, which I showed you a few minutes ago. And they actually apply all the format of the projects which I mentioned before. Yeah, I'm not going to read this slide as always, just in my own words. TRIZ Association of Asia cooperates with many institutions and many organizations in India. They provide service in mentorship, patent inspiration, IP strategy development, knowledge transfer sessions, and they even do distance education. The proposal of the purpose, of TRIZ Association to Asia as a body of matriz to help with TRIZ proliferation in India. I would like to draw your attention to the last bullet in this slide. I really like this statement. What they say that they want to advance the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics knowledge set. Yeah, that is a very nice concept when universities teach together those four topics: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And they teach them together based on real work applications. And I believe TRIZ is a very good common language to navigate between science and technology, between technology and engineering. So general language of TRIZ modeling can really complement this STEM approach. A few words about TRIZ in academics, because as far as I understand, the majority of participants are from academia. That is why, again, thank you to TRIZ Association for Asia for these slides. The first question, where can TRIZ really help you? Well, talking about the first bullet, final year projects for students. It is a common practice nowadays. In Finland, in Lappeenranta University, I saw a number of projects performed by students using TRIZ. Not only Finland, in France, in Strasbourg, there is also such an experience. PhD and research for professors, absolutely. That is out of questions. There are people who are really involved in this activity in Europe and in Korea. I know one professor here in Korea who is really interested in this development. And some other things which are listed there, I would like to draw your attention for one here in the middle, entrepreneurship for startups. That is really new for TRIZ because startup activity is really growing all around the world, not only Silicon Valley, but Korea, China, Russia, I believe India also in this list. And I have TRIZ friends who efficiently apply TRIZ for consulting startups. For people from academia, I would say that TRIZ may also change the paradigm of education, because what is happening now, the whole paradigm of education is changing. You know, when I was graduated by St. Petersburg Polytechnic University, I was electrical engineer. But during my professional life, I changed my specialty a couple of times. I was doing banana project. I was doing, you know, AP chip project. I was doing soul project and many other projects in different areas. And my university background was great. It, you know, it was great, but it was not sufficient. So TRIZ was something which really helps me to navigate between different areas. That was relatively easy to jump from electrical engineering to bananas, from bananas to glass bottle manufacturing, from glass bottle manufacturing to semiconductors, and so on. So in my opinion, TRIZ is really interdisciplinary approach, which may help students and professors in the university to, you know, to learn new areas, new subjects very naturally. You may ask the question, where, in which universities TRIZ is already using as a subject where people can learn TRIZ. And of course, the first name which jumps in my head and the heads of my colleagues from TRIZ Association of Asia is MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Our good friend, Dr. Sergei Kovenko, is teaching TRIZ there. University of Twente, our other good TRIZ friend, TRIZ master Valery Sushkov is teaching TRIZ there. Lappeenranta, Finland, Professor Chichurian, and many universities in India, as you can see. And this list is not complete, it is a partial list. I can tell you that last Saturday, I had a session with university professors from China. There were 35 university professors who want to learn how to apply TRIZ for consulting. So they learn TRIZ, they even certified up to level 3. Now they are looking for the opportunity to learn how to build skills out of knowledge. So very nice. In Korea, I also mentioned 2 universities which are using TRIZ for teaching students. Yeah, activity of TRIZ Association of Asia is really amazing. All these logos you know better than I. So again, you will be able to ask TRIZ Association of Asia if you have questions about specific models of collaboration after my presentation. And now let me jump to the conclusions. All right, so TRIZ, the theory for inventive problem solving, was originated in the middle of last century in the Soviet Union. And initially, that was a powerful methodology for solving complex technical problems. Later, when Soviet Union collapsed and Russian people traveled to the United States, traveled to Europe, TRIZ moved abroad, and TRIZ was adopted. It was enhanced with the needs of market economy, because in the Soviet Union, that was not a market economy. There were no market needs, no market tools, and the version of TRIZ was not acceptable as it was for the Western countries. After a number of years in the US and in Europe, TRIZ became as we know it now. So, and nowadays, TRIZ is an essential part of innovative cultures in many, many companies all around the world. So I believe the names I showed on my slides are convincing. And what I know from conversation with TRIZ representatives in India, and personally, I visited India 3 or 4 times, presenting in conferences organized by TRIZ Association of Asia. Yeah, TRIZ is really growing, and you may always contact TRIZ representatives in India. So, as promised, we have a little bit less, but still enough, less than half an hour, but still enough time for questions and answers. And you can always find me after this presentation. This is my TRIZ email, this is my personal email, my phone, and I am in all, social networks, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I'm on Skype and YouTube. Just, I have very simple nickname, which is the same as my real name, Oleg Feginson. So thank you very much for your attention. Let us see if we have questions in chat.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Oleg. Very informative and nice session. There are plenty of questions. Shall I start asking questions?
Okay.
There is questions. So what, according to you, should be attribute of a good consultant?
Good consultant. Okay, very, very interesting question. So I believe the main quality, the main property of a good consultant is ability to listen to your client, especially when we do consulting for people from other countries. Very often expectations of your client and your vision of the problem is not the same. That is why, remember when I showed the roadmap, I said we have a very, very comprehensive analytical part. We need to really understand what the problem is. We need to confirm it with our client, and only after that we should proceed with ideas. Because again, very often client doesn't know what he or she wants. He wants to make a new product, right? But what is a new product? What kind of product? So we need to be very, very specific and confirm with our client, okay, when you're talking about new product, are you talking about new functionality, new performance, incremental changes or radical changes, things like that. So the short answer again, we need to be very collaborative with our clients. We should listen to our clients and show them what the real problems are, and they should confirm that. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There is another question. What is inventory problem solving? Does it lead to patent every time?
Let me repeat the question. So your question was, what is inventive problem solving?
Does it lead to patent every time?
Not necessarily. I can tell you that patent is not always the goal. For example, we have a number of projects where we are trying to keep know-how instead of publishing patents. And the idea behind that is very simple. As soon as we have a patent, our competitors from China, from other countries can copy our solution. So patent is not the goal of all our projects.
Okay, sir. Thank you. As you have come from the academic background, nowadays because of number of different agencies like the accreditation agencies, the faculty members are busy in academic work. So how they can balance academic work and consultancy?
Okay, also very good question. Actually, I also have an experience teaching in universities a little bit. And when I teach in universities, I always, introduce myself as a consultant, as a person from Samsung, which does internal consulting. And students ask me very similar question. I think that university gives you a very good background. It teaches you how to handle huge amount of information, how to make conclusions, how to formulate your thoughts. And without this academia background, TRIZ doesn't really work, because in a way, TRIZ is a kind of multiplication coefficient. If you have a very good academic background and you use TRIZ, your good academic background multiplies in order of magnitude sometime using TRIZ. But if your academic background is 0, multiplication coefficient doesn't work. If you multiply 0 by any multiplication coefficient, it gives you nothing. So I believe that academic background is very, very important for successful TRIZ application. And I already said why, because it gives you a kind of discipline of working with data, with formulating your thoughts, with making conclusions. That's my answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you. How TRIZ can be implemented to academic research? Does a faculty need to TRIZ certification in order to implement in research?
Actually, yeah, certification is good to have in academia, but it is not mandatory. I mean, I know people in France who do not follow this certification, but they still do TRIZ research. Why not? But in my point of view, if you provide some certification to your students, then when they are graduated, when they got diplomas from your universities, besides that, they already have some level in TRIZ. And again, this matriz certification system is well appreciated by big companies. So let's say if person has level 3 or even level 4, and he or she applies for a position with Samsung, that is a big plus to have this, certification by TRIZ. Also, as I said, when you do an academic research, very often you face the situation when you need to analyze some systems which you are not familiar with. And TRIZ offers some tools, for example, function analysis, cause and effect chain analysis. And those tools help you really understand how your system works. Those tools help you to describe your system and see what are the disadvantages and advantages in your system. So in a short words, TRIZ may be used as a kind of navigation to your research. Yeah, the last phrase, GE Global Research Center in Albany, Niskayuna, and also that was a branch of this GE Global Research in Bangalore, India. they used trees a lot for research. Even that was not academic research, but for the research projects, trees was perfectly used. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. At what age students should learn trees?
Why students should learn trees? That's the question.
At what age students should learn trees?
At what age? Okay, thank you. I just, I didn't hear. Very, very good question. I can tell you that last year we had Matriz Congress and we discussed exactly the same question. At what age we should introduce trees for,
Yes.
our potential students? And there is a trend to introduce trees for school children. So, and even for preschool children, it is not exactly trees, it is creative imagination development, it is some derivatives of trees, some simplified trees. But Matriz is currently working on that. We are working on some education programs for kids. If we talk about students, I think if you start to learn trees from the very first year, it will be really, really helpful in your student life, because as soon as you learn all these TRIZ approaches to model the problem, to handle data, to generate ideas, to formulate, untrivial problems, then your student life will be much more easy till the end, till the graduation. Okay.
Okay, sir. Are there any Indian companies who have applied for trees?
Are there companies who applied for TRIZ?
Yeah, Indian companies.
Well, we have experience, of course, with Samsung, as I said. 1997, Samsung invited first TRIZ experts from Russia. That was not Samsung Electronics, that was Samsung SDI, the unit of Samsung which creates batteries. And then Samsung Electromechanics. And nowadays, when we have almost 40,000 people at Samsung who trained, not certified, by trained at some level in TRIZ, there is no need in foreigner experts. Samsung has its own way with TRIZ. Another example, when General Electric decided to start with TRIZ, the approach was quite different. Instead of hiring full-time TRIZ experts, they decided to train their own employees, their own engineers, and they invited people from Gen 3 partners to teach level 1, level 2, and level 3 Matriz courses. So I was one of those persons who participated in training program with General Electric. That is why I know how they use TRIZ at General Electric for research projects. So that's another success story, I would say. So to summarize, there are two different approaches. Some companies like Samsung prefer to hire TRIZ experts, not only Samsung. LG did the same. POSCO, a Korean steel company, did the same. And another thing that is a way of GE, I would say, is to invite external trainers, external consultants to to run TRIZ in house. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll take. There are so many questions. I will take again one or two questions. Then we'll conclude. Will TRIZ be applicable for UG, PG, and research project? And are there any open source tools which can be used by these students?
Maybe something goes wrong with my speaker. Wait a second. No.
Okay.
Okay, so your question was, is TRIZ applicable for, could you repeat it again, for what kind of projects?
Yeah, that is as a curriculum projects for the UG, PG. There are some curriculum student have to undergo through curriculum projects. So how the TRIZ can be used to implement projects in curricula?
I understand.
And are there any open source tools available?
Let me start from the last part of the question. I'm not sure about open sources, but recently we published a book about TRIZ level 1. I mean Matriz. You can find the link to this book on Matriz website. So it explains all major tools which are required for level 1. And I believe for some projects, knowledge of level 1 TRIZ is good enough, because basically level 1 contains the major tools like function analysis for product, cause and effect chain analysis, classical TRIZ tools like contradictions. So one reference could be this book by Matriz. Also, you may talk to TRIZ Association of Asia, I guess, because they are very active, more active than I, with universities. I honestly do not really know how students use TRIZ, because my involvement in academia, as I said, is very periodical. Sometimes people from Korean Polytechnic University or Hanyang University invite me to teach TRIZ, but personally, I do not participate in student projects. That is not, my job. And again, talk to TRIZ Association of Asia. These people may know better. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I will take last question. Do you have any sponsorship policy to Asian academicians or the students to do research in India itself?
As an organization, as Matriz, we do not really provide sponsorship. What we can do, we can, connect you with local organizations. And again, I need to refer to two organizations which exist in India, and one of them is TRIZ Association for Asia. They may lead some TRIZ activities with universities. Another option, we have this experience when universities became member organizations of Matriz, because the structure of Matriz is very simple. So we have around 40 organizations all around the world. And those organizations could be universities. Those organizations could be companies like, for example, Samsung TRIZ Association or Siemens TRIZ Association. And in this case, those members of Matriz, if they conduct some research, if they want to develop some new subjects in TRIZ, they may ask Matriz to support this activity. But it is evaluated case by case. So you can find something like Matriz sponsorship on our website. It is always individual things, okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you for your giving answers to all the queries. We are very kind enough with your session. Now we are having our beloved principal, Dr. D.S. Burmane, sir. I request Dr. D.S. Burmane, sir, principal of AISSMS College of Engineering, to say a few words.
Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Oleg. Good afternoon, Dr. Oleg.
Yeah, good afternoon. Sorry, I have some difficulty with my speakers. Let me try to improve that.
I'm getting you.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Very, very, very impressive and informative session you have given, and really your focus on all the aspects of TRIZ. Although we are associated with you through our Dr. Wankhede. He's representing AISSMS College of Engineering. So every semester and year we discuss about TRIZ. But today I got so many inputs through your presentation. I'm really thankful providing the good insight on this TRIZ activities and sparing your valuable time for our people. Just I have one or two queries. Can I ask with you?
Sure.
Yeah, because because of this pandemic situation, the scenario is going to change, especially in education sector. How do you look this TRIZ will help in the post-COVID situation? as far as in education sector is concerned?
Yeah. I understand your question. Very good question. And if you look on Facebook, there are a lot of things about, trees after in the crisis time. Of course, people think about that. And unfortunately, many people will lose their jobs and they will need to get into the new areas of expertise. They need to get new jobs. And again, in my experience, in my opinion, TRIZ can really help you to learn new subjects. For example, if you switch from electrical engineering to product management, of course you need to learn product management. But besides that, if you learn TRIZ, it will really help you to capture the knowledge of project management faster. Because, TRIZ organizes your thinking process in a way that you can handle a big, huge amount of information more effectively, I would say.
And it will act like catalyst.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Oleg, once again on behalf of AISSMS and on behalf of all the participants for giving very good inputs and a good insight on this typical topic. And definitely we'll see that we'll use these trees for quality improvement in teaching learning process also. And hope so we'll take inputs from you in future also. Thank you once again, Dr. Oleg.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your attention. That was a pleasure to present. And if you have other questions in the future, you know how to reach me. You see my contact information, and you also have your local organizations in India. And I wish you good luck. Stay healthy, stay safe, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Just I will hand over to Dr. Balke.
I will summarize, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Oleg, you have explained very well what to do when we approach a company to undergo some consultancy. You made us aware about the strength of the trees and its application in various companies, that to MNCs. It is also very useful for cost reduction and other small development within industry. We understand that trees helps to find the right need of a market. And you also have explained the number of the cases about for the industry to solve the problems. So on behalf of the AISSMS College of Engineering, we express our sincere gratitude to you. You have spared your very valuable time from your very busy schedule. I also to note that you have been connected with us because of Dr. Wankhede. I also would like to thank Dr. Sandeep Wankhede, who is an associate professor in AISSMS College of Engineering. So in future also, we need your guidance and we will be in touch with you. Once again, thank you very much to you.
Yeah, my great pleasure. And I also want to say thank you to Dr. Sandeep and the TRIZ Association of Asia. And thank you for the opportunity to present. Once again, all the best and stay in touch.
Thank you very much,
Bye.
sir.
Thank you.
Bye, sir. Bye. Now the next section will start at 4:15 sharp. Chaudhary sir? Chaudhary sir, we'll start next section at 4:15.
Yes. 15 minutes gap will take.
Yeah. So I request all participants to join at 5 minutes before 4:15, 4:10 o'clock. Already.
Tejas sir. So initially, means I will give your introduction. So can you initially just stop your screen share? Hello, Tejas sir. Hello, hello.
Yes, I have stopped the share.
Okay, okay. So we'll wait for this 5 minutes again, and then we'll
Sure.
start. Okay.
Okay.
Participants will start the session very soon. Balke sir. Balke sir.
Yes, sir. Mave, sir.
Should we start?
Yeah, we will start.
Is
It is
ready?
4:10. Yeah, you start introduction first.
So, good afternoon, all participants. For the second session, which we have with us Mr. Tejas Toro. He's a peak performance coach and master practitioner for NLP programming from USA. Then, just to introduce Mr. Tejas Toro is a coach. He has coached Olympic athletes to win a gold medal. He's a peak performance culture and leadership consultant at Kirloskar Oil Engine, Adani, Munro, and many more companies. Some of the credentials of Mr. Tejas Toro are he is a certified trainer and master practitioner for NLP, a certified leader and life coach, postgraduate diploma in experimental learning, certified creative movement therapist, and we proud to will say that Mr. Tejas is alumni of AISSMS College of Engineering and Pune University ranker in Bachelor of Engineering in Production Engineering branch. He is also a co-founded business in electronics for SMPS. Also, mechanical bearing and automation related for the automation of robots. He is an entrepreneur in that field. So he has taken many NLP related and the motivational related programs. So in India as well as in abroad. So he has taken some of the programs for schools also, and many more events he has conducted during his tenure. He is associated with this many this organization for coaching their employees and all. Not only this, means he is associated with politicians as well as the celebrities also. So he has given training to them. And with this means I welcome Mr. Tejas Toro for this session. And today's his topic is how to change the mindset of teachers for the quality education. So I welcome you, Tejas sir.
Thank
Now you
you.
can over to you. You can start your session.
Right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, organizers, for creating such a beautiful platform for sharing and learning together. So I thank all of you again, and let's start off without further delay. Just give me a minute to start sharing my PPT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So before we start, I would like to clarify the pedagogy of today's program. So this is not a lecture. This is not going to be a one-way session. Rather, we are all going to learn together. Okay. And I believe all of you and most of you are from education background. And so you have more experience than me. And instead of just listening from my side, I would invite you to reflect in your mind as well. So when we start looking into different topics today, I would invite you to reflect on your experience as well and correlate with your experience. And so we are looking at how do we change our teachers' mindset to increase the quality of education. And one of our India's stalwart, Swami Vivekananda, has said a beautiful line in context of education, which is you have to grow from inside out. None other can teach you. There is no other teacher but your own soul. So this would be the guiding philosophy for today's session, which is nobody else can teach you. We have to grow inside out. And then we are going to look at how is conventional education till now. Are we doing it the way Swami Vivekananda envisioned it? And how the vision of Swami Vivekananda is not just contemporary, but is scientifically also very true. And it applies to our future education as well. So we are going to look at this statement by Swami Vivekananda, but we are going to go into it more scientifically. Okay? So he's talking about growing from inside out rather than outside in. And what that means, and which has been proven psychologically, is that our human psychology is far more important than all the external knowledge we can gather. Okay? No matter how much books you read, how many courses you attend, no matter how many certificates you gather, even if you make a bunch of certificates, but if you're not in the right state of mind, if you're not in the right psychology, all that knowledge, all those words are useless. But if you're in the right psychology, if you can stay in the right state of mind, that is what really impacts the results you get in life. And that is what helps you live your life truly successfully. When I say living life successfully, I mean not just materialistically successfully, but living a complete, whole, and fulfilled life. And we are going to look into all this scientifically, and we are going to see how can we use this in our teaching methodology so that we work on our students from a wholesome perspective rather than just one angle of teaching. So now, the core philosophy of today's program is external change versus internal change. Okay. So often when our conventional education system focuses on external change, and external change is more often than not always, but more often than not, it's cosmetic, it's temporary, or it is supportive to what we gain from outside. So let me give you an example which all of you can relate with. All of us know students who are extremely studious, who are very diligent, and yet in their real life, they end up with a mediocre life. Isn't it so? And then there are some students who might not be academically brilliant, who might not be very sincere in our own definition, but they turn out to shine out in the real life, which proves that the mindset is far more important than what we are gathering through our books and just the words. Yes, the words are important, but they form the 20% of the entire skills that we use to live our life and to create the destiny which we want to create. So we are going to look at how do we actually bring about internal change, transformative change, which is permanent in our student. Now, why is this important? Now, this is a very important slide. All of you can focus on this important slide, which will help you understand why what we are going to discuss today is important. So if you look at the conventional education, the old education, this education system was designed when there was no internet. In fact, it was designed when there were less printing press as well. The books used to be very expensive. Today you have PDF at no cost, but at that times, even books were very expensive and rare. All of you are elder than me, so you can think about this. In the olden times, it was even difficult to get books, and people used to use second-hand books, right? And so in that time, knowledge used to get transferred from person to person. There was no internet. So knowledge used to go from one person to another person. And the mediator of transfer of knowledge was teacher. Isn't it so? Please reflect on this. The medium of transfer of knowledge was teacher. So knowledge would pass through teacher to the students, right? But now we are in the era of internet, and knowledge, any knowledge from any field to any depth and quality is available on a click of button. An entire library or more than that is available on your phone on a click of a button. And sometimes it's not just easier to access, but it is easier and cheaper as well. So the new era, especially after COVID-19 and the lockdown, is going to change the entire ecosystem of education. So tomorrow's education is not about transferring knowledge from person to person. Rather, it is about helping your student or becoming a facilitator, a coach, a catalyst in their life, such that they can go on and learn on their own. So earlier education, conventional education, was teacher driven. It was syllabus driven. The future education is going to be student driven. What does that mean? Okay, this is a very important point. If you are having pen and paper, please write this down. The past education was teacher or syllabus driven or book driven. The future education is going to be student driven. What does that mean? So let me give you a practical example. Okay, and this practical example is my own example. I have done engineering, and the fact is I used to avoid going to classes many a times. Okay, and I would not go to the engineering classes which were there in our college, and this is fact, and all of us have to accept this, right? Because only if we accept the fact, then we can find the right solutions. We cannot be in a fantasy land and find the right solution. So we have to accept the ground reality, and the ground reality for me as an engineer student back then was that I used to avoid attending the classes. So I was a student who avoided attending classes, But later on, after my engineering was complete, I discovered my area of interest, which was the field of peak performance. And I myself figured out that I wanted to learn more about it. And when I looked around, I found neuro-linguistic programming was one subject which was really powerful in changing human performance. Okay, and I was really deeply interested in that. But unfortunately, that neuro-linguistic programming was new in India at that time. There were no universities or college. In fact, there are no universities and college even now. And so I figured out that there were some foreign universities which had affiliate programs, and I subscribed to those programs. Not just that, I traveled to Singapore. I went there. I learned what I wanted to learn. I traveled to USA. I learned what I wanted to learn there. Okay. So look at the contrast. There is a student who is not attending the engineering classes, which he has paid for. They're not free. And the same student is spending, so probably I might have spent not less than 20 lakhs in my self-education, while my entire engineering completed in 2 lakhs. So what I really wanted to learn, I invested 20 lakh in that. I traveled globally and attended the world's best teachers, their programs, and I learned from them. And this is what I call self-directed learning. Now, when I'm going there and learning all these things, I am not getting a university degree. I'm not getting a university degree, right? I'm not getting any certificate, nor anyone is counting my attendance there. There's no one there to check whether I'm learning or not. But I can tell you that I was 100% more curious, ready to invest money and time in that learning, because I found that learning directly engaging, relevant to my life. It empowered me. It showed me the practical life ahead. And after investing these 20 odd lakhs in self-learning, if I compare engineering degree on one side and all the courses which I have done, these are not university courses, mind you, okay? It's not about certificate, it's not about degrees, okay? Today I am earning far more and in multiples because of the courses which I have done. Okay, if I had just been an engineer, although I was a university topper, I got placed from engineering in a German company. If I have continued that path, probably I would be manager and at the best senior manager somewhere. But I took the path of self-directed learning. Okay, what I mean by self-directed learning is that the student designs his own learning. Student decides where they are going to learn from, what they are going to learn, from whom they are going to learn, and how much they are going to learn. So the control, the charge is in the hand of student, while in conventional education, the teacher or syllabus decides what they are going to learn. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So what I'm saying is the self-directed learning path which I took has helped me not just internally find out who I am and build real clarity, but has also helped me professionally. By now, I have coached not just Olympic athletes, I have coached business owners who have turnover of more than 1,000 crores. I have coached politicians, I have coached doctors, students, and this is what my self-learning path has empowered me to do. So I'm sharing this not to boast about my life. I'm sharing this to bring the point ahead that today our students have avenues or options to design their own learning. In fact, top companies like Google, Adobe, who have progressive HR policies, they don't even care about degrees. Right? They don't care whether you have a software engineering degree if you are able to solve technological problems. And so many people today are using alternate education paths like online education or experiential learning, like they do it themselves. Okay, they fail and they figure out themselves, and then they are working in companies like Google and earning far much more than people who have gone through conventional education and even who hold big degrees. So I'm sure since all of you are in the education domain, you all are aware of this and the reality. Okay, and only when we accept the reality, that's when we can get real results. Otherwise, either we will be in fantasy land or we will just keep pushing things ahead till it becomes difficult. So a great example of not accepting reality is what happened to Idea Mobile, right? The mobile service provider. What happened to other companies when Geo came? Geo came with a completely new technology and it wiped off all other businesses. And I want you to realize the same thing is going to happen in education. It's, in fact, it's not going to happen. It's happening right now. So conventional education now has a lot of options, and that is going to take over because the students are millennials, okay? And research, psychological research has shown that the generation which is growing up now is psychologically tuned completely differently than back then, probably in my time or even in your time. This new generation is self-driven. This new generation knows what they want. This new generation is confident. This generation has the confidence, probably, and clarity to say no to conventional things, say no to their parents also. And that is not bad always. Okay, so we have to recognize this and not take this negatively, rather accept that and upgrade ourselves, evolve ourselves to the market need and the needs of the students. So I'm a business coach as well, and I always like to tell my clients, business clients, that you have to fall in love with your customer, not your product or service. You have to fall in love with your customer, not your product or service. So many businesses fall in love with their own product and service, and the customer needs sometimes changes, transform, and your business keeps providing for the old needs while the customer goes into the future and their new needs transform. So I hope that makes sense. So here in education industry, our customer is our student. And so we have to fall in love with our students. We have to understand their requirement. What are their needs, rather than falling in love with our own product or service. So our service is our degree, that which we provide, our education, the books, the syllabus, that is the service we give. So we should not fall in love with our service. We should fall in love with our customer. And if we fall in love with our customer, then and then only we will realize their real requirements. And if we are able to fulfill their real requirement, then you are creating real value. And when you create real value, world will give you world will return that value to you in terms of money, in terms of respect, in terms of providing resource to you so that you can also contribute more value. So something like karma, right? If you're not providing value, you don't get value back. But if you are providing value, world will give you in far more times. So I hope you have understood this thing, teacher directed learning versus self-learning directed, okay? And we are moving into times of self-directed learning. And as teachers, as professors, as professionals in education industry, we have to accept this. So then what is our role in this new era of education? What is our role? So our role has changed from being a teacher, which was being a medium for transfer of knowledge. Earlier, a teacher had a teacher from whom they learned, and they would just pass on the knowledge. And at that time, memorizing and passing on what you had memorized, passing on what you have read, was all that was teacher used to do. But now, a teacher cannot just be a teacher. A teacher's role now in the future era, in fact, in the present era, is to become a facilitator, to become a coach, to become a catalyst. What do we mean by becoming a facilitator? So a facilitator or a coach does not have a syllabus for the student, because the student is the driving factor. The student has to drive the car. You are not going to tell the student where they are going to drive the car, where they should go. Rather, a coach or a facilitator is going to ask the student, where do you want to go in your life? Instead of telling them where they should go, you are trying to understand what are their natural inclinations, what are their natural skills, what are their natural abilities. Help them discover those natural abilities, help and understand where do they truly want to go. And once they discover where they truly want to go, a role of coach or facilitator is to help them find the best road to reach there, to find an effective way to reach the destination which they have decided for themselves, not you deciding for them. Okay, so today's education system or past education system was syllabus driven. Tomorrow's education is decided by the student. So student is the main driver. I hope that makes sense to you. So let's come to this slide. This will help you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so if you look on the y-axis, there are systems and processes, okay, and all the knowledge, all the skills, all the technical skills, tools, strategies, etc., which we teach comes on the y-axis. Now, the part on the x-axis, which is the culture, which wrongly is said soft skills, which is self-identity, who I think I am. Okay, values. Here by values we don't mean moral values. By values we mean driving factors, intrinsic driving factors. Okay, behaviors and beliefs. These are on the x-axis. That is the psychology, the mindset is on the x-axis, and on the y-axis is the technical knowledge or skills that which we are providing. And in life, mindset decides 80% of results, and technical skills matter only 20%. And all of you know, since you are experienced people, and if you ask any experienced person in the market or industry, they will tell you after certain first 2-3 years, nobody cares about your marks. What they look at is the attitude you have. They look at how curious you are, how enthusiastic you are, how much are you ready to learn and adapt. That is far more valuable once you start your career. No one cares about the conventional knowledge that you are carrying in your head, right? And so the future teacher, who I will call coach now rather than a teacher, the future coach needs to have different skills than what skills the teachers earlier had. So the new teacher, the teachers of new era will have new skills. Okay, they are not the skills which we used to be judged on earlier. And I hope you have understand till now that the whole teaching and learning scenario has changed, and so the skills have changed. The requirement of skills is changing as well. So what are these skills, the new skills which our future teachers need to have? And if you look here in the slide, there are 5 fundamental skills which the new teachers or coaches of future need to have. The first is self-awareness. Okay, now if you go back into the past, the skill which the old teacher need to had, or the previous generation teachers need to had, was knowledge, was higher degree, right? But the new teacher, the new generation teacher, or the future teacher or coach needs to be extremely self-aware. Why do we say that self-awareness is important? Because Unless you are aware of yourself, you cannot become aware of others. I'll repeat this. Unless you are really, really aware of yourself, where are you operating from, you cannot be aware of others. So let's see why self-awareness is very important to be the future teacher. Okay. Now, if we look at human needs of why human beings what they do, there are various reasons why humans do what they do. Okay. Some of you might have studied Maslow's hierarchical triangle, right? So what that says is that on the bottom of human needs are the needs of I, me, myself. That is survival needs. Okay. On the bottom is the survival needs. Whatever you will do from this needs is for survival of yourself and probably your family and people around you. So the first bottommost layer of why we do what we do is need of survival. The next need which comes if we evolve out of survival need is the need of achievement. Okay, the first is survival, second is need of achievement. In this level, you are doing something to prove to others. You're doing something to reach somewhere. You're doing something to attain something, to win something, to gain something. Okay, so let's say in the beginning of your career, probably you just wanted a job badly. You didn't care about where you were getting placed. You didn't care much about the salary in the beginning. You didn't care about which degree you have or not. Initially, you just wanted to get earning quickly. Yes or no? For most of us. Because in the beginning, there is survival need. Once your survival need is fulfilled, comes the need of achievement. And so now you have a stable job. Okay, everything is happening hunky-dory and things are rolling on. Then you start thinking, okay, let me achieve something. Let me become PhD. Let me get the higher degree. Okay, let me aspire for more salary or whatever it is. That's the need of achievement. And then if you evolve out of that, above it comes the need of enrichment. I want you to focus on this. This is the highest level of human need, which is enrichment. So what is this need of enrichment? This is the need to grow internally, to grow up as a person, to grow up as a human being, and to help others. You are trying to make the world around you a better place. You are trying to set up other people for success. So if we look at the first level of need, which is survival, here you are looking for your own survival. In the second need, which is need of achievement, you're looking for your own success. You're doing in these first two needs, two level needs, you're doing everything for your own self, either for your survival or for your achievement. But the highest level is the need of enrichment. Here, two things drive people: inner growth and contribution. So you want to set up other people for success. It's no more about my own success. You're looking at others and see how can you help them succeed. So great leaders are not the one who are greatly skilled themselves. Okay, Sachin Tendulkar was a great batsman. Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant in his batting skill, and we all will take our hats off for him. We all respect him for his batting. But when he became captain, was he able to support the team? Was he able to set up his team for success? Probably no. He struggled there. So at the level of enrichment, you are not driving for your own growth or your own success. Rather, you are driving for inner growth. What do I mean by inner growth? So this is not about certificates. This is not about degree. This is not about PhD. Inner growth is not about the claps which you get from others. Inner growth is not about the extra money you earn. Inner growth is not extra likes which you get on Facebook. Inner growth is about what kind of person are you becoming, and only you know the truth. It's not about showing to others. It's about recognizing who you really are. And that is why self-awareness, being aware of who you really are, it's not about others. It's about your own personal journey. So inner growth and helping others, enriching the world, contributing to the world, setting up others for the success come at the highest level of need. Now, why is self-awareness important? Self-awareness is important to check within. As a teacher, as a professor, as an educationist, where am I operating from? Am I operating from need of survival? पापी पेट का सवाल है, जॉब करना पड़ रहा है इसलिए मैं टीचर बन गया हूं और मैं सिखा रहा हूं. Am I just filling in the attendance sheet because if I don't go, my salary will get cut? That is the need of survival. Or am I operating from need of achievement, which is मुझको PhD करना है, I want to increase my salary, I want to go to the next level. That's need of achievement. It is better than the need of survival. At least you will be driven. But the highest is, like I shared, the need of enrichment. So self-awareness will help you realize where are you operating from, which level are you operating from. And let me tell you a secret. Real teachers operate from highest level, a need of enrichment. So a real teacher is looking to set up their students for success. That is their driving factor. We are not ignoring the degrees you have. We are not ignoring the money you earn, but that becomes a side product. That becomes a byproduct. Your intention and your driving factor becomes setting up your students for success and inner growth. How can I become a better person? Because only if you are becoming a better person can you become a role model for your students. Because who you are teaches your student far more than what you are teaching them verbally. And our future generation needs right role model more than textbooks, academic stuff. I hope you all agree with this. And that is why self-awareness, to check where are you operating from. Are you operating from lower needs, which is need for survival, or are you operating from achievement or enrichment? So I invite all of you to write these three needs down. The first lowest need is need of survival. In this need, you are doing what you are doing. You are teaching, you are being a professor, you are being an educator because you have to do that job. It's all about your stomach. It's about the money and survival and for your family. That's the lowest need. We are not judging it. All of us have different financial backgrounds. But even if we are there in that level right now, our objective should be to come out of it because we have chosen a noble profession. Teaching is a noble profession, right? So let's raise our own awareness, raise our consciousness to higher levels. So the first level is survival. You do everything for the money, for the survival. Next level is achievement. You're doing for the higher degree, for the certificates, for the external approval and validation. And the highest is enrichment. That is, you're doing what you're doing to grow internally. And if you go into Vedas, they will tell you your profession is the best sadhana. Okay? If you do what you are doing, your duty, your karma diligently, that is the best sadhana you can ever do to help you grow spiritually as well. You don't have to do anything else if you are very diligently doing your profession. I hope that makes sense, right? So inner growth and contribution, are you operating from the level of enrichment? So I hope I made my point well. So self-awareness, like we saw, is one of the first fundamental skills which future teachers and coaches need to have. Okay. I will one more time share something on this because this is a very important topic. Now let me share something. Why is this important? Your performance as a teacher, your impact as a teacher, your value perceived by the student as a teacher is directly proportional to which level are you operating from. If you are operating from level survival need, your students are going to understand that. Today's students are very intelligent, right? They are going to understand that this teacher is teaching just because he or she has to teach. It's not coming from heart. But if you're teaching from the need of enrichment, which is the highest need, your students are going to feel it. They are going to respect that. They are going to value that. And they will be open. They will open up their hearts to learn from you. Not just their mind. They might open the mind to get the marks. But when they open up their heart to you, that's when the real teaching and learning happens. Right? So your students are going to perceive which level are you operating from. Okay, so let's understand this and park this here. Okay, we will come back to this point. Secondly, in the previous education system, the number of seats were limited, which means a teacher could teach only so many people, maybe at max 80 or 100. They couldn't go beyond that, even if they wanted to. Even if a teacher is an enrichment, operating from level of enrichment, they cannot teach more than 80 or 100 students. That is also a big number, yes or no? But with technology, you can sit in one place and teach thousands and lakhs of students in a time, at the same time, which means you are today being compared to any teacher globally, not just in your town, right? So if there is a person sitting in a small country like, let's say, Sri Lanka, and they are teaching one technical topic from their heart, okay, and genuinely from a sense of setting up students for success, they can reach out to students in India. They can reach out to students in Europe. I have personally conducted programs in Europe, right? How did I reach there? Probably if I was in the older generation, it wouldn't be possible for me to teach people in Europe. But today with technology, I'm able to do that. So please understand, tomorrow, your competition, and competition is the wrong word, but you are going to be compared with the best of the world. And you will be considered best only if you are operating from the highest need and not the need of survival. So I hope I have made this point absolutely clear. Where are you operating from? The second fundamental need of future teacher is the skill is deep listening, the ability to listen deeply. When we think about teaching, we think about the communication skill. How good you are at communication, how good is your vocabulary, how great is the tone in which you speak. That was important earlier. Yeah. Today, your students have access to knowledge anywhere on a click of button. So the need of listening deeply to your students is far more important, because only if you are listening to your students deeply, you will be able to engage them. You will be able to understand them. And only when you deeply listen to them, they will listen to you. Right? And if you're deeply listening, you will touch their heart. And like I said earlier, if you are able to touch the hearts of your student, they will open up to you. Since all of you are operating with today's youth, you all know that today's youth is distracted, right? They have a lot of problem. And when we ask experts and psychologists from the field who are studying the psychology of today's youth, all of them say the same thing, that the root cause of all child psychology problem are that their parents are not available for their kids. Their parents do not have time to listen to their kids. Their parents do not have time, and they haven't prioritized being with their students. And that is why the child gets distracted and finds someone to listen to them, to take care of them, to love them outside the house, which sometimes could be dangerous and harmful for them, right? So our students are craving to be heard. Our students are craving to share their emotions. Are we being there for that? And if you can be there for that, you can be a great coach, you can be a great teacher. And we are going, so you will be thinking, how is all this aligned with academics, with learning? So you can keep that question in mind. It's a valid question. We are going to look why what we are understanding and learning right now is relevant in academics as well, in the later part of this session. So we saw self-awareness, then comes deep listening. The third important fundamental skill of future teachers or coaches is going to be reflection. Reflection in Hindi is called chintan. Okay, the ability to reflect. So earlier, you were just taking knowledge from one book, from one source, and transferring it to students. But now, your students are not there to learn theoretical stuff from you. They want to understand practical application of what you are teaching them. They want to understand how what you are teaching them is relevant to their life. How is that going to be applicable in their life? So if I am depressed, if I'm not in a good state of mind, how is your technical information going to help me? It's not going to help me. But if you can show how what you are teaching is going to empower them in life, how that can help them reach a position in life where they can live confidently, where they can live with pride. If you can associate what you are teaching with them with their reality, then they are open to learn from you. And that needs reflection. You have to do the chintan, the reflection, to connect your subject to today's youth. Right? You cannot just copy paste anymore. You have to do the chintan, you have to do the inner work to make it relevant. And since you might be observing that every year the next batch is completely different psychologically than earlier, isn't it so? So you cannot rely on the previous teaching methodology. You have to keep reflecting, keep churning, keep evolving your philosophy, your teaching methodology, and keep adapting to the future students. The fourth skill of the future teacher, and this is very important, is self-correction. So often as teachers, we think that we are the best, that we know more than our student. We are more older, more experienced than them, and we have the right to lead them. But the fact is, your student probably has read more international from the international source than you. Maybe they have heard to the expert on YouTube, who are the people who have actually discovered it, who have actually used it in industry. And they might know certain stuff far more than you. It's possible, yes or no? And then you cannot be egoistic and rub them off. You cannot say, don't say this, okay, don't share this. In fact, you have to invite them. And probably if one student is interested in particular subject and if you realize they're expert at it, you can invite them to share that with the class. So you should be ready for self-correction. Your student today is not going to be blindly obedient. They are going to speak up. They are going to speak up their emotions, their knowledge, and stuff like that. And so you should be ready to do the self-correction. And that will be the skill of future teacher. And the last is action. Right? What do I mean by action? Your students are watching your actions. Right? They are not going to allow you to command them just because you are their teacher. They are observing you. They are seeing your attitude. They are seeing how do you go about your job and life. And they are going to operate from that understanding. So whatever you are preaching them or teaching them, you have to bring that in action. Because today your student has access to your Facebook profile. Your student has access to your LinkedIn, right? They can see what you are doing in life beyond just being a teacher. And we are all humans, we make mistakes, and your students can see all that. And that is going to impact their state of mind of learning from you. I hope that is making sense. So your actions, what are you really doing, is going to matter. I hope that makes sense. So I'll repeat these 5 fundamental skills of future teacher. Self-awareness. Where are you operating from? Which need are you operating from? Survival, achievement, or enrichment? So self-awareness. Second is deep listening. Are you listening to your students? Also, if you're good at listening, then you can continuously learn from others. You cannot anymore say that I have completed my education, I have this degree, I have PhD, there is nothing more to learn. You have to have deep listening skills to go on YouTube, probably online sources or other courses. Keep upgrading yourself, and you can do that only if you have ability to listen deeply to others, to keep your ego aside, to keep your knowledge aside, to keep your degree aside, and be open to learn from others. That will happen if you have the skill of deep listening. Then the next skill is reflection, ability to adapt, to think, to churn, self-correction. Okay, be open to change. And then last is action. Okay, if you are doing these things, you will not just be in a zone of peak performance as a teacher, but you will help your students also attain their vision and their ideal future. So now we come to the scientific proof of why what we are learning together right now is true and why it is important. And to do that, we will first understand how human neurology or human brain works. Because if we are a teacher, we should be aware of how humans learn. And if we are aware of how humans learn, then we can use that awareness to be better teachers. Isn't it so? So let's understand our brain. So imagine that humans have 2 brains. Okay, this is a metaphor which I'm giving. It's not that we have physically 2 brain. We actually have one brain which is working interconnected with each other. But just as a metaphor to make it easier to understand, consider that we have 2 brains, primitive brain and advanced brain. Okay, human brain was developed thousands of years back. Our brain is designed to live in jungle. Okay, our brain is designed not to live in buildings and closed environment. Our brain is designed to live in jungle. Okay, and back then in jungle there were animals which could kill you any second. There was lion, tiger, a venomous snake, and stuff like that which could kill you anytime. And so your brain is designed for that. Okay, so understanding that, so we have a primitive brain which is designed to live in jungle, and this primitive brain has only one function. Okay, it has only one function, and that function is survival. Your primitive brain, which is most of the part of your brain, is designed for only one function, which is survival. Your primitive brain has nothing to do with whether you are happy or not. Your primitive brain has nothing to do with whether you are learning new things or not. Your primitive brain has nothing to do with what kind of person are you becoming. Your primitive brain has nothing to do with the quality of your relationship. Your primitive brain only cares about your survival and nothing else. Okay? Now, I'll give you an example of this. Suppose if you go to your grandparents, okay, if they're still alive and you go to your grandparents, what question are they going to ask you? Are they going to ask you, did you update your mobile software? Of course not. Are they going to ask you, what is the subject you chose for your PhD and what was the finding? Of course not, probably not, right? The question they will ask you mostly is, khana khaya kya? Isn't it so? They'll ask you a basic survival level question. They'll ask you, khana khaya kya, tabiat theek hai kya? Yes or no? Because this brain, the primitive brain, cares only about your survival, okay? And it has only 3 strategies of surviving. Why does it has 3 strategies of surviving? Consider an old mobile phone, the Nokia 1100, okay, the small phone which we used to have 15-20 years back. That phone, you had only 2-3 functions like calling, SMS, and one snake wala game, right? There was nothing much than that. So our primitive brain is also a basic brain. So it has only 3 functions. So it has only one function, which is survival, and 3 strategies to ensure that you survive. So what are these 3 strategies? If you look in the slide, the 3 strategies are fight, flight, and freeze. Fight, flight, and freeze. Let's understand why is it so? Why fight, flight, and freeze are the strategies of our primitive brain? So remember, this brain is developed for living in jungle. So imagine you are walking in jungle, okay, and you hear a sound and you suddenly look at the sound, okay? Then you figure out, where is that sound coming from? If the sound is made by something which can kill you, then you will run away, which is flight, right? The flight here in the slide, okay? That's flight. And flight, underlying emotion is fear. Okay, so you'll have fear and you will run away. You will have flight. Now, if there is a sound and you look at the sound and you figure out that you can eat that thing, that you can kill that thing and eat it, then you will fight. And that is why the fight is the another skill of survival brain, primitive brain, okay? And if you look at that thing, at that sound, and you are not able to figure out what animal it is, आप समझ नहीं पा रहे हो वो आवाज कहाँ से आ रहा है, किस चीज का आवाज है, then you will freeze. आप चुप के बैठ जाओगे, you will freeze. And that is why the primitive brain has these 3 strategies: fight, flight, and freeze. Okay? If you look at the underlying emotion, I would like and invite all of you to please write this down. Primitive brain has only one functions. So you can say primitive brain, arrow, survival. And survival, how do we survive? 3 things: flight, fight, freeze. 3 strategies. And if you look at the underlying emotion, the emotion behind flight is fear. Emotion behind fight is anger or aggression. And emotion behind freeze is confusion. So these are the 3 emotions which govern the primitive brain. Okay? Fear, anger, confusion. Okay? Now realize one thing, this brain operates only for survival and it ensures you survive through fear, through anger, and through confusion. Okay? Now let's come to advanced brain. This is the brain which is located here, okay, in the front of your head, in the frontal lobes. The primitive brain, medically or scientifically, is called amygdala. The advanced brain is called prefrontal cortex. Okay, so our advanced brain has multiple functions. Okay, it's like an advanced mobile which can do so many things. It can take a photo, you can listen to song, you can take call, you can see email, you can play games and stuff like that. So advanced brain has multiple functions, but the core functions of advanced brain are: first, self-awareness. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness is the ability to look at ourselves from outside. In Hindi, it is also called Sakshi Bhav, the ability to look at ourselves non-judgmentally. So if you are self-aware, you will recognize, अरे मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है. If you are self-aware, you will recognize, अरे मैं lazy बन रहा हूँ. If you are self-aware, you will recognize, I am getting fearful. So self-awareness is almost like a CCTV which is watching you continuously, and it's called the Sakshi Bhav. Okay, and this Sakshi Bhav is an advanced brain function. How do we know that this is advanced brain function? So some Buddhist monks who do meditation for years together, probes were attached to their brains and they were asked to do meditation. And meditation is nothing but you are exhibiting Sakshi Bhav. You are watching your own self, okay, non-judgmentally. So the probes were attached to their brains and activities inside their brains were being monitored. And it was found that when they are meditating, that means when they are being self-aware, their advanced part of the brain, which is this part, was most active, right? And that's how we know that that self-awareness is an advanced brain skill, okay? The second skill of advanced brain is empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to feel other people's emotion, okay? And to feel others' emotion is an advanced brain function. So let's not just talk about it, let's experience it, okay? So let's come to self-awareness. So when we talk about self-awareness, it's being aware of who we are. It's being aware of your body. It's being aware of your mind. It's being aware of your breathing. It's being aware of your thought process. It's being aware of where are you operating from. Are you operating from a selfish intent or an intent to contribute, right? So right now, become aware. How are you sitting? Are you sitting straight or are you slouching down? That is also self-awareness. Become aware of your breathing. How are you breathing? Are you breathing full or are you breathing shallow? That is also self-awareness. Become aware of your thought process. Okay? Why are you doing what you are doing right now, which is attending this seminar, this conference, webinar? Are you doing it just to get the certificate or are you doing with a genuine need to learn new things, to evolve, to improve? Become aware of that. That is also self-awareness. Okay? So if you have become aware right now, you have activated your self-awareness. Our end objective as humans is to be self-aware 24/7. Okay? And that's the real skill. The second is empathy, which is being aware of others' emotions. So let me give you an example of why empathy is an advanced brain skill. Think about this. Let's say a young couple has a small kid, okay, and they go to a movie theater to watch a cinema, okay, and the cinema is going and it's a very interesting cinema and it has reached a climax. Everyone is curious to see what is going to happen in the next scene, and there is pin drop silence in the entire cinema hall, okay, and the small child feels hungry. What will the child do? It starts crying. Yes or no? Now, it is crying because it's hungry. But how does its crying impact the people in the cinema hall? Negatively, right? People get disturbed. But does the child care about other people's emotions? No, not at all. It's all about I, me, myself, my hunger, you know, my survival. Hunger is directly related to survival. So it's all about survival. The advanced brain is still not activated. And so empathy, the ability to feel others, is an advanced brain ability. So what I want you to do now is, let's actually activate our empathy. Think about 3 people in your life whom you impact the most. They could be your parents, They could be your spouse, your husband, your wife. They could be your kids. They could be your students. Who are the 3 people in your life whom you are impacting the most? Think about them. And now take the first person in your mind, the first person whom you are impacting the most, and think and reflect on this. How am I impacting their life? How is my communication impacting them? How is my behavior impacting them? Am I impacting them positively or negatively? Take up the second person. How are you impacting them? Are you impacting them positively or negatively? How is your behavior affecting them? How is your communication affecting them? How are your actions affecting them? Take up the third person and do this quickly in your mind. How are you impacting them? Your communication, your behavior. What you are doing right now is you are activating your advanced brain. When you start reflecting on how you are impacting others, you are engaging the advanced part. Now, why this is important in education? So tomorrow's leaders, all the leaders, the people who become real good leaders, true leaders, have the ability to have empathy with the people around. Only those people have empathy for others can build great teams, can have great results. And if you can help your student discover empathy, you are making true leaders. And if you have empathy for your students, you are being a true leader. Then the third skill is problem solving or creativity, which is advanced brain skill. If a small child has a problem, they start crying. They don't solve the problem. They start crying and they remember their parents, father or mother. But if your advanced brain is activated, you will solve the problem and not cry. Okay? So now we must understand that the future teacher will help activate the advanced brain of their students and not just provide academic knowledge. A future leader, a coach, a catalyst will have the skill to activate advanced brain of their students. Okay, so we have been doing this for long. So all of you just sit back, sit straight, and take 2-3 deep breath in. If you have a water bottle around you, take a sip of water. Take deep breath, 3-4 deep breath, and raise your energy. Okay, so let's go to the next skill. Next slide. I'm trying to figure out how to close this chat. Give me a minute. Yes. So I hope you can see the next chart. All right. So now if you look at these different, we will skip this. We are short of time, so we'll go ahead. We'll be sharing this slide with you. So now, all right, so let's come to this, the skill of the future teacher. Okay. All right, so if you can see the slide right now, on the x-axis is the level of skills. On the y-axis is the level of challenge. Okay. And if you can see the graph, suppose you are playing with a small child, you are playing football with a small child. Okay. That is a low level challenge, isn't it so? And your skills compared to that child are higher. And so you are going to feel relaxation or boredom when you are playing with them, isn't it so? So now if you look at, if suppose you are playing with Ronaldo, he is the world's best footballer. Here, the level of challenge is very high and your skill compared to him is very low, right? And so you are going to feel, you can plot that on the graph in front of you. If you are playing with an expert where the challenge is high and your skills are low, you are going to feel anxiety. You are going to feel worry. Isn't it so? Right? Now, great teachers help their students find the sense of flow. What do we mean by sense of flow? So if you look at the slide, flow is on the right, topmost right corner. Okay. And we achieve flow when high level of skill matches high level of challenge. When high level of skill matches high level of challenge, that's when we experience the sense of flow. So as teacher, you have to help your students find out what are they naturally skilled at and grow that skill so that their skill level increases. Instead of asking them to work on what they are not good at, what their weakness is, you invite them to reflect on their strength, what they are naturally good at, and make them improve their skills, which they are naturally good at. And then, as a great teacher and coach, you challenge them to take higher challenge. So what you're doing is you're not just increasing the skill, but you're also increasing the challenge for them. And when that happens, that's when they experience flow. Right? So let me give you an example to make this clear. Okay? Think about Virat Kohli. Will you expect Virat Kohli to do bowling as well? Of course not, isn't it so? We will not expect Virat Kohli to do bowling. And if Virat Kohli does not do bowling, we are not going to judge him that he is not doing bowling, because you are going to judge him on his batting, because that's his strength, that's his role. Similarly, we have to recognize what is the strength of our students and not judge them on their weakness. We have to help them figure out what they are naturally good at and help them discover that and help them develop that skill. So now, here's the interesting thing.
Excuse me,
Your
teacher, sir.
student,
Excuse me,
yes,
sir.
yeah,
So can you adjust your mic? So voice is less.
okay. What is happening?
Voice is less.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Please adjust again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So what I was saying is, you are not going to judge Virat Kohli basis of his bowling. You're going to judge him on his batting, right? So you have to figure out, you have to help your students figure out what their natural strengths are. Now comes the important point, okay? Your students are not dependent on you to develop those skills. Today they have internet and so many other technological platforms to develop those skills. Even if you are not good in those skills which they are good at, it's okay. If you help them discover those skills, you have done 80% of your job. I hope I'm making the point right. So you help them find their skills, you help them discover different avenues where they can go and improve their skills, and you support them to take up bigger level challenges. If you do that, you are helping them enter the sense of flow. And when they are in the sense of flow, that's when they are being the best version of themselves. And that is going to be the skill of future teacher. Okay. So in the PPT, you have a slide called Appreciative Inquiry. It's a set of questions you can answer for yourself to recognize what strength you have. And you will be able to use these questions. Here are the questions which you can give to your students and ask them to answer this honestly to help you understand them better. And if you understand them better, you will be in a position to help them better. So you will be getting this slide later. We will not go in depth with it. You can use this slide, the questions in the slide, and give it to each and every student of yours to understand it, understand each one of them better, so that you can be a coach to them and not just remain a teacher. We will look at this slide. This is the last slide which we are going to look into today. Okay. And this is the most important slide, and this will, I'm sure, clarify you what is your real role as teacher. Okay, so if you look at this triangle, you have environment at the bottom, then comes behavior, then capabilities, then skill, then identity and purpose. So let me give you an example to explain this triangle, and trust me, this is an extremely enlightening topic for all of you. Okay, I will explain this with an example. Suppose there is a teenager. Okay, how would be the room of that teenager be? How, if that teenager has a personal room, how would that room be? They are teenagers, so mostly chances are the room would be messed up, everything is scattered, right? So the room is messed up, which means the problem is at the environment level. Please look at the slide. Environment is at the bottom most of the triangle. So the room is messed up is environment. So the mother of that child comes and figures out that the room is messed up. That is, there is problem in the environment. And so the mother starts cleaning up the room, and the mother clears up all the mess, and the room is spick and span again, absolutely organized. Okay, and the mother goes away. What happens to the room after 2 days? The room was cleaned by mother. After 2 days, the room is messed up again. Yes or no? And the mother realizes there was a problem in environment level, but I cleaned up the environment. I found a solution at environment level, but I did not change the behavior of the child. The child comes, throws its clothes in one direction, the shoes in other direction, books in third direction, and goes away to play. And so the room is messed up. So mother realizes, I cannot just work at environment level. I have to work at a higher level, which is behavior level. So mother starts telling the student, please behave properly. Please do not throw things. Please keep things in the right place. Put your shirt on hanger, etc., etc., right? So the mother is now working on higher level, right? Now, she has worked on the higher level for 2 days. The child behaves properly. After 2 days, what happens? The room is messed up again, because the mother realizes, I told the child to be organized, but the child doesn't have skills or capabilities to be organized. That child doesn't know how to fold the shirt. The child's hand doesn't reach the hanger. The child doesn't have the skill to postpone gratification. I have to clean up my room, but my friends are asking me to come and play. The child doesn't have the skill to postpone gratification. And mother realizes, I cannot just expect them to change their behavior. I have to give them the capability to change the behavior as well. And so the mother starts coaching the child. See, here, that's where the coaching starts coming in, right? So mother starts coaching the child and starts giving him ability of how to fold the shirt. Mother keeps a stool so that his hand reaches the hanger. Mother teaches him how he can postpone going to play and why that is important. So she gives him the skills to get organized, right? Now, all this happens, the room is clean for next 3-4 days, and the room is messed up again. Okay, why does this happen? Mother comes in the room and realizes the room is completely messed up, and so the mother asks and reflects, why is it happening? And she realizes, I have helped the child to get all the skills, but the child has a belief, a value, that the more messed up you are, the more cool you are. I'll repeat this. The child now has the skills, the capability, but child has a belief that the more messed up I am, the more cool I am. And so even if the child has the ability to clear everything else, the belief is sabotaging the ability. And mother realizes, oh, his mentors or his role models are Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, who have messed up hairstyle, who wear a pant which is red color in one leg and yellow color in other leg. And so they are going to follow this. Their belief is that the more messed up you are, the more cool you are. So mother realizes, I cannot just tell him and give him skills. I have to work on his or her belief system as well. So mother asked him, who is your hero? So he says, Virat Kohli. So mother asks, how do you think would be the kit, batting kit of Virat Kohli? What time must be Virat Kohli waking up? How much practice should be Virat Kohli doing? And what she is doing this, she's helping and challenging his beliefs. And he realizes that Virat Kohli must be disciplined in his life. And his belief starts changing that, yes, I have to be disciplined, I have to be organized. So mother is operating at a higher level, which is beliefs and values. Okay, she does all this, but in the next 2 days, the room is messed up again. Now comes the very important point, okay, which is self-identity. The room is messed up again, and mother realizes, for the last 15 to 20 years, I have been telling this child, you are a messy kid, you are a messy kid. तुमसे कुछ भी ढंग से नहीं होगा, तुम ऐसे ही हो, तुम नालायक हो, you are useless, you are a messy kid. And that has become the self-identity of the child. So even if the child believes that it should clean the room because the belief has changed, even if the child believes and values being organized, the self-identity is I am messed up. And that is why the child will not clear the room. The self-identity. In Marathi, there is a beautiful line which says, Apulicha pratima hote, apulicha vairi, which means our own self-identity becomes our own enemy. So the same identity which the mother has given the child becomes a hindrance in using the skills and beliefs which the child has. Okay, so mother comes and realizes, oh, I have to change the identity which I have given him. I cannot expect the child to behave differently unless I work on their identity. And so the mother starts telling the child, you are a good boy, you are a good girl, you are organized. The mother starts recognizing what is the child naturally good at and starts talking about it. I like the way you do these things. And so she's working on the identity of the student, of the child. Okay. So now the identity has changed. Now let's take an example of other house. Okay. In this house, no work is done. No environment level work, no behavior, no capabilities, no skills, and no identity work. Okay. And the room is messed up because it's a teenager's room. But one day, it is the mother's birthday. What will the child do if the child knew that mother will get happy if the room is cleaned? It's mother's birthday. The child will clean up the room. No work was done by the mother. Mother did not tell the child to behave properly. Mother did not go and clean the room. Mother did not give the child skills. Mother did not believe on the beliefs or self-identity. It's just that the purpose, the intent changed in the child's mind, and everything else happened. The result just happened. Right? So I am going to share this one important point. If you change anything on the bottom level of this triangle, which is environment, behavior, okay, capabilities, but you don't change the things on the top two level, which is the purpose and identity, then that change will be a superficial change. That change will be a temporary change. Okay, that change will not remain permanent. Only when you change the higher two levels, which is the purpose and identity, that's when the change happens automatically, naturally. Okay. And so now Swami Vivekananda, coming back to him, Swami Vivekananda's famous line is, come up, O lion. I'll repeat that. Come up, O lion. Shake off the delusion that you are a sheep and know that you are the creator of your own destiny. Come up, O lion. Shake off the delusion that you are a sheep. Now, what level is Swami Vivekananda working at? If you look at the triangle, what level is Swami Vivekananda working at? He is not talking about environment. Swami Vivekananda is not telling you to wear uniform. He is not telling you to wear orange color clothes. He is not telling you about behavior. He is not telling you about skills. He is not telling you about knowledge. Swami Vivekananda is telling you to be a lion, which means he is working at identity level, which is a higher level thing. Does that make sense? Swami Vivekananda is working at a higher level. That's why he's saying work as a lion. Come up, O lion, not a sheep. Okay, you are not a sheep. Now, think about this. Our conventional education system, old education system, what did we focus on in our schools? We focused on uniforms. Is your uniform clean? I'm not saying this is not important. This is important. Okay, but please try to understand the point, the bigger point I'm trying to make. Okay, we are focusing on the uniform. Is the uniform clean? Is it ironed? Have you cut your nails? Have you cut your haircut and stuff like that? That is an environment level thing, the lowest thing. Yes or no? Then we talk about behavior. Isse baat mat karo, usse baat mat karo, don't be rude. That is a behavior level thing. And then we give them some skills and capabilities. We give them capability to do maths, physics, science, some capabilities. What else are we doing? Are we talking about beliefs of life? Are we talking about who are we as human beings? Are we talking about purpose of life? Right? We are not doing that. What we are doing is the lower three things, unfortunately. And I invite all of you to reflect on this triangle. Okay, and operate from the higher levels. Help the student find purpose of life. Help student find who they really are. And if you do these two things, I am sure you will be a real leader. You will help your students massively. And that's what our role as new age teachers is, to give them an education which empowers them to live a great life ahead as a great human being, which goes on to create a beautiful world for themselves and people around. Right? So here there is a question, where does discipline comes in this triangle? So discipline comes at behavior level. Okay, if the child has an identity that he is a messed up child, that he is not a disciplined child, if that is the identity in the head, and if the child has a belief that education is not important, his behavior in the classroom will not change. Okay, so I hope today's session was insightful for you. We'll be sharing these slides. You can go deeper into this. I am available for all of you. If you are a genuine learner, if you want to operate as a teacher from enrichment level, then I'm always available for you. Whatever you want from my side, I'm ready to share with you. You can contact me on the phone, which will be there in the slide. I'm available on all the platforms like Facebook and Twitter, etc. You can reach me out there. My name, you know, you can type it and reach out to me. And I'll be happy to share what I have learned in the last 12 years of self-directed learning. So I thank you all for your patience. I hope this was meaningful and valuable for you, and you can apply this in your day-to-day life. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tejas.
Yes.
Over to you, Valke sir, for question and session.
Yeah, thank you, Tejas sir, for your insightfulness about mind training in the quality education. There are the few questions which have been raised by some of the participants. So just I would like to, shall I ask questions?
Yes, please.
Sir, as what you have talked about, most of the things are like a philosophical things. But as you think about the educational policies in the rigid structure, so how to become or transform ourselves from the teacher to coach? So how to guide on this?
Okay, so let's come to the logical level, the last slide which we looked at. So if you look at the structure, education structure comes at environment level, which is the lowest level. So if you are trying to fit into the structure, you are fitting into the lowest level at the logical level. So if you raise your consciousness to the highest level, which is purpose, if you really reflect, what is my purpose as a teacher, you will yourself find out the answer to the question. And I believe all of you are more experienced, more wiser than me. And so if you can raise this, your awareness to the highest level, which is purpose and intent, be genuine, genuinely ask yourself, are you doing what you are doing just to fit into the system? Or do you really care about what you are doing? If you really care about what you are doing, you will figure out a way.
Yes, sir, you are absolutely right. There is
Yeah.
one more question.
Yeah.
What should be the role of educational policies in the development of future teachers?
Yes. So the role of education policy is to understand real education. What is real education? And I'm aware of this, that you and I at our level, we cannot change this policy, or it's difficult for us to change the policy. But if we can do that, it will not just help us and our student, but it will help our nation as well. Right? So unfortunately, we cannot do much at our policies, but what we can do is, if we can understand real education at our end, then we can align the policies and our teaching to make maximum impact. That's what I can say. But the real fact is, unfortunately, most of us don't have direct influence on the policies. But I think what is happening due to the technological advancement is that no one can ignore what is changing technologically. Like Byju's, you might all have heard about Byju's, and this is just the beginning. Okay, Byju's is changing the way the education industry operates. So government is also, I'm sure, looking at all this, and in few years you will see changes happening at policy level as well.
Okay, thank you. There is one more questions.
Yeah.
How all these concepts will be applicable for a class of 60 to 70 students, because teachers are busy in most of the administrative work like the NBA, NAC. So from where teacher find time for carrying out these?
Yes, for that you will have to call me to your college to help your principal and directors to help. But anyway, jokes apart, what I will say is that if the first few lectures which you have, if you focus on these things with your students, the first few sessions, then you will be able to have a much higher level of rapport with your students. And then whatever syllabus you have to cover can happen much quicker. So what I suggest is, if you could give first few lectures and sessions or contact which you have with students to work on real education, not academic education, that can impact your year-long teaching learning experience.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Then there is one more question. Forcing of someone for doing good things or setting higher goals is creating stress.
Yes.
What do you suggest?
Yes. So we looked at X and Y axis. X axis is skills. So skills grow here and challenge grows here. Now, when the challenge increases, stress increases. If the skills don't increase with it, I'll repeat this. You have skills here and challenge here. If the challenge increases and the skill remains same, then the stress increases. But if the challenge is increasing and you also increase the skills, then the stress doesn't increase. In fact, you go closer to the sense of flow.
Yes, sir, you are right. Then there is one more questions. To identify the problems among the student and to get the solution, shall we have the questionnaire for the analysis of the student before start of the coaching?
Yes, yeah. I would definitely recommend that. We saw that deep listening is a skill of future teacher. So asking questions or giving them questionnaire and getting that is also part of deep listening. You are being available to them. So amazing. Whoever has suggested this I really appreciate that.
Okay.
So
Yes, sir, right.
I see one question here in the chat box, and I would like to take it up because it's a very practical question. How to change the mentality of Indian parents and perception of student goal? Okay. So as teachers, we have tremendous impact on students and parents, okay? And we can impact them in various aspects. But if we try to change everything, we ourselves will burn out. I'll repeat this again. If we try to change everything, we'll ourselves burn out and we will change nothing. So as teacher, I would recommend that we decide which parameter are we going to focus on for our students. If it is parenting, then what part of parenting? If it's student, are we going to focus on certain skills or behaviors? What is our expertise? What is our true passion? So figure out your focus and work on that only. Don't try to change the system. Don't try to change the policy, the parents. If you try to do that, we will not be able to change anything and we ourselves will burn out.
Yes, sir, right. There are so many questions. Because of time constraint, we could not able to take all the questions.
Yes.
Now I request Dr. Principal Dr. D.S. Bormane to put his remark.
Yes, please.
As you are alumni, we are very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Tejas.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Because yesterday evening I called Shekhapure sir and Mavale, why not to have his session for our teachers? And really you have changed the mindset of our teacher for quality education.
I'm honored.
Yeah, it's a very insightful and very interesting session you have taken. I attended each and every moment what you have shared with examples and these things. It's really very useful for our teachers, and definitely they will be benefited. So I will go read one or two questions. One
Sure, sir.
put. Dr. Garkal has asked, does IQ level of individual matters in coaching?
IQ level, yes. So here I would like to bring to your focus the multiple intelligence theory by Dr. Howard Gardner, where he talks about different intelligence which human have. When we talk about IQ, we are just talking about the certain skills which are mathematical, analytical skill. But if you are really interested in that, since we are very short of time, 1 or 2 hours is a very short time to actually talk in depth about all this. I would love to share that. This is my passion and I would like to contribute, but honestly, it's so difficult to share in 1 or 2 hours. So I hope you understand. So so the answer to that question is, please study the multiple intelligence theory by Dr. Howard Gardner.
Good.
That will give you deeper answer to that. Yeah.
There's one more just last question that is Dr. Nemade has raised, why there is less percentage every individual is working on values and belief, and how make it common practice to do so?
Yes. So this is also important question. So like I said, if you look at the education, and if you see, why are we operating as colleges and organizations and teachers? Because we are empowering the student to go out into the real market, right? And we have to empower them such that they can be in a great position in real market, which is industry. Okay. And what is happening in the industry today, in the industries which are on the forefront, is like Google, Adobe, all these companies, okay, Facebook. What is happening in these companies today is going to happen in all the companies 5 years from now. Okay. And what is happening in these companies is they have stopped looking at degrees. They have stopped looking at marks. They are looking at the ability to stay curious, to learn fast, to adopt, to be authentic and genuine human being, to be a good listener. So what is happening in the HR domain of these top companies is, I'm sure, is going to happen in next 5 years in other companies. So these things are going to be more important than just the mark. Since you have asked this question, I went to Varanasi once, and there is a J. Krishnamurti school there. All of you are teachers and educationists, you might have heard about J. Krishnamurti. And they have a school there, the school has teachers who are ex-NASA, who are ex-ISRO. There are people who were MDs of big companies who retired early and came and have become teacher there because they're passionate about education and they want to contribute to education industry. And so I went to this school to study and understand how they operate. And so I asked one of the sir who was asked to accompany me, I asked him, what is the average score here in the school? And he replied, we do not care about it. We care about what kind of human beings we are helping to come out.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tejas. Very, very
Yes.
useful session. And now over to Balki.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Mahavir sir, shall we have photo session? Then vote of thanks. Mahavir sir.
We can take a snapshot
we'll take photo. After that, vote of thanks will be there.
Tejas sir, can you just stop your PPT?
Yeah.
You stop sharing your PPT.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All the participants, can you please on your video now? All participants, please on your video for selfie.
Are we done?
Wait.
Okay. So we also have solar eclipse attending the program. I'm honored.
Yes, Balke sir.
Yes, sir. Balke sir, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I, Dr. DJ Balke, take the opportunity to propose vote of thanks.
Yes, sir.
Mahavir sir, I am audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So, Dr. DJ Balke, take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks. It was indeed a great privilege to have Tejas Toro, who is alumni of our college. Really, we are very proud of you. He is a very eminent and renowned mind trainer, psychologist, as a guest speaker in this faculty development program. His insightful lecture on the mindset in the quality education was full of wisdom and information. He shared with the tips to make optimal use of mind, power, and inner potential. We all are enlightened by your enlightening talk. I feel all professors who attended this session will be able to extract best result out of students by applying these tips in their teaching and classrooms. So on behalf of AISSMS College of Engineering, I am very much grateful to you, and I would like to thanks to Mr. Tejas Toro for giving all the details about the mind to become a great teacher like a coach. So once again, I thanks on behalf of all the participants as well as AISSMS College of Engineering. Thank you, Tejas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to conclude, this was a short time, so we couldn't go in too much depth. Some of you have written that how do we actually apply this? And since it's only 1 hour, I could share the concept at higher level. If you are interested on knowing how you can apply this concept, you can reach me out on my email, and I would like to share content and stuff which can help you start applying these concepts in the real in ground in your classroom. Thank you all.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thank you for patient listening. Thank all the sirs and organizations.
Thank you, Tejas. Bye.
Thank you, Tejas.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Tomorrow also we have very interesting session. One of the professor from the Malaysia. He is also going to address. I request all the participants to come in the time for the meeting. So that is also going to become very interesting. Mahawale sir, shall we conclude?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much.
मीटिंग बालके बंद करा मीटिंग म्हणजे झाला असेल तर.
Yes, sir. Mahawale sir, meeting